like the way that my voice sounds. When I hear
Oh
it back.
man, you shouldn't have said that. I started it already.
Perfect.
Perfect. Hello, and welcome everybody. Welcome back. This is gonna be like episode 2. I
Is it?
think.
3, no?
Do you count the one with me and my friend,
I mean,
where it's just me alone for 30 minutes talking about literally abortion and politics?
that's like me like driving to work. I just talk to myself about everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it would count if I could record myself in my car just
It's
by
like-
myself.
You know how like Lion King had like Lion King 1.5 with Timon and Pumbaa?
It did. Wait, there was a second movie that came out.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah, I don't.
Dude,
I
yes,
Lion King was not my thing. Aladdin was my thing.
Dude, fucking. So you know about Aladdin, King of Thieves, and you know,
Mhm.
yeah, you know about. So you do know about those.
So I never really. I watched the one
Uh-huh.
with the title of Jafar.
The Return of Jafar.
That one.
Yeah, dude, everybody's be sleeping on these Aladdin 2 and 3 movies. Dude, Aladdin 2 didn't have Robin Williams as the genie, but
What?
Aladdin 3 did.
That
Why?
makes no sense.
There's a great YouTube video that like digs into like the drama that was between Disney and Robin Williams.
Okay.
It was something like Robin Williams didn't want his character to be like the main portrayal of Aladdin the movie, because I think
Mhm.
that's all I remember. I'm gonna go off a limb here off of what I think was
Okay.
true, which was he wanted, like, I think. Nope, I forgot.
All right,
But you
that's
can- I
fine.
don't know, look
That's
up
fine.
Aladdin.
We can
Disney,
figure it out later.
Yeah, something drama on YouTube.
All right. Well,
Uh,
what exactly are we gonna talk about?
we're gonna talk about.
We always talk about like anything and everything.
We talk
so
about some crazy. I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. It's a lot better than having this in your face. So
Yeah, probably.
we're referencing
The mic setups right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope
nobody can see that.
No. No. What was it? Oh, okay. What did we talk about that last time where we're like, damn, we should, I should have
Okay,
you
there
on.
was a couple of things.
Mhm.
Death,
Yeah.
astrology,
Astrology.
and I guess like philosophical things. So like
yeah.
like a moral code per se.
Yeah, you kept saying like how the vibe you felt about me. Do you remember what you were saying about that? How like
No.
I'm very open minded, but I
Yes,
Yeah.
you're very exact at the same. Like you have a you're very directed, I guess you can say.
okay.
Like you have like a certain prescription for how you live your life, but yet you still have a very open-minded sense of like a way of being, but yet
Mhm.
you still have a very like concrete of like this is my bad. This is how you live, so to speak.
So not like a moral code necessarily, or a moral code.
I would say like
Uh-huh.
if somebody were to ask you something about life and they
I
would
would
give
have
you
a definitive answer, but be willing
yes,
to
yes,
change
yes.
it. I think, yeah. Is what you're saying about me allowed if my definitive answer is I don't know? Can I don't know be a definitive answer?
I mean, yeah, but I also feel like sometimes
Uh-huh.
you say you don't know, but you also have an exact answer. It's a
sometimes
very
you-
abstract way of talking, but like
Thank you.
I'm trying to find like an example that gives
Yeah.
like a good example to
I'll give an
explain.
example. I
Okay.
can't think through it because I'm talking at the same time, and I'm not going to
Alright.
stop talking to think about it because that would be bad. Because we're recording a podcast.
Right.
But this example is going to be like sometimes something I think about is like how are there certain numbers that are always true in the universe, like pi, like the ratio of a circumference of a circle to its radius.
Okay, I'm not good at math, just FYI.
But like pi, right? It's 3.14
Yeah.
something, and that's true for every circle,
Right.
right? That is, I was reading this book by Terry Pratchett.
Uh-huh.
He's like a British comedy writer.
Is that the one who wrote about the soldiers? Am I
The
thinking
things
of
they carry?
Yeah.
No.
But I've heard that name before. Where is that
Terry
from?
Pratchett, he wrote, so before the MCU, sometimes there was like book universes. And so this guy wrote he wrote stories that took place in this universe called Discworld.
No, but I know where is he from? I've heard his
Don't
name
look it
before.
up. That's
I
lame.
want to look it up though because I don't know. I want to know exactly where I know it from.
Okay, that might take you a while.
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
I'm
gonna
Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it was recently.
Interesting.
Good Omens, that's what it was. It's like
Good
this
Omens.
TV show. Yeah.
Oh, it's like somebody compared it to
Yeah,
Good Omens.
no. It was he wrote that.
He
The
wrote
book?
Good Omens?
I guess so.
Or it was a book, and then they
It
made
was
the
a book
into
and then
movie or show?
no, TV show.
TV show.
But like I remember cuz they always had like the Amazon commercials when you go to the movies
Yeah,
for some
yeah.
reason and it would always come on with that one dude from Doctor Who.
I mean, there's a lot of Doctor Who.
Obviously, but like the one that was like everybody's favorite.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
No.
Damn.
Before I think it was before Matt Smith.
Dude, I'm not up on Doctor Who.
Okay. Well, it was one of the good ones, I guess.
One of the yeah.
But yeah, that's where I remember. You were saying Terry
okay,
Pratchett.
yeah, about like something else entirely.
Pie.
Yeah, I was getting okay. So in the book Pie,
Is it The Life of Pi? Is
no,
that the
it's
book?
not. No, no. Terry Pratchett. It's comedy books. The books are like from the 80s. Like
Yeah,
they're really old.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's super funny. Like you've heard of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
Nope.
No?
No.
Wow. Okay. That's just like one book, but there's like 26 of these books, and he
Right.
writes them all, and they all have like different characters, but most of them take place in the same like big city in the world,
Okay.
right? And in the book, one of these books, they talk about like there's magic and stuff, and it's crazy, but like there's like a defined system in this book
Sorry.
of like how magic works and whatnot.
Okay.
And it's basically like like a magician's, like a wizard's job is to avoid doing magic as much as possible.
Okay.
Because magic always has a price to pay.
Okay.
So like this world is like defined, right? And so
Right.
there's like this inventor that always invents super shitty things. Like an inventor would invent something, then they ban it because it's like this thing's gonna turn out to be bad because everything this guy invents seems good at first, but then it's terrible. Right?
Okay. Interesting.
He makes this thing that's like in some sort of like box somewhere. And inside is a circle where the ratio from the circumference to the radius is exactly 3. Right?
Okay. What does that?
What does that mean?
No. What does it have to do with?
With this thing? So like, I don't know. I just want to explain the book a little more.
Okay.
So in the book, like it's like a weird thing, and you look at it, and it's like you can't look at it for too long because it like doesn't make any sense. And the main character's like, "How do you like? What do you mean? Like you can't make a circle with like a ratio of just 3? Like it gets built in. You'd have to change the whole universe, right?
Okay.
So like in this universe, there is the ratio is 3.1429 blah blah blah, right? And the smallest distance anything can happen in is a Planck length, which is 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34 meters.
You lost me.
I just said a bunch of numbers.
Right,
Pretend
exactly.
it's a number, which is
Okay.
number distance.
Got
right?
it. Sure.
That's like a thing built into the universe, right?
Okay.
How massive a proton is dependent on like quarks and whatnot, and quarks
Okay.
are defined.
You're still
and
losing me, but
I'm-
okay.
the point is, that I kind of want to lose you
Right,
because this is where you're saying like how I'm like abstract, but like I say I don't know, but like I kind of do know. Where it's like if somebody asked me like, "Hey, how the universe be how it be?" Like how, like where does like
And you're just kind of
these
like,
rules
I
come from?
don't know, but
It's like,
then
I don't know.
you do know.
I know up and like if a kid kept asking me why, my answer's Planck length, right?
Sure.
And they're like, why? Then I can't answer it. It's like, I don't know why. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why, like, this distance is the smallest distance anything can happen in.
Okay,
or why.
wait. I'm going back in my head about what we were talking about, and now I'm completely lost.
We were
What are
talking about me, and because I brought
abstract thought, but concrete ideas.
up, because you're describing me and how I say, how you feel like I have a, I'm very open-minded, but have a specific answer for a lot of things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I haven't really reflected about that on
Yeah,
myself.
it seems like it.
But I mean, hey,
I didn't mean it in a bad
my
way.
analogy was premium content.
I mean, kind of. I feel like an analogy can be assessed on whether or not somebody understands the analogy. If you need another analogy
You
to
could
explain the
just
analogy, it's
pre-
not a good analogy.
Pretend to go along with it.
Okay.
If you, listen,
Sure.
for me, what I do in my brain
Mhm.
is I always fake it till I make it.
That's
Sometimes
terrible.
in class, right? They
Okay.
explain a thing. Like I always want to understand absolutely everything.
Yeah,
Right.
same.
And in class, when they introduce, like, for example, my chemistry class, like the Planck length, right?
That's not. Wait, is that an actual thing,
A
or is
Planck
this?
length?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a real thing.
I didn't know that.
It's fine. You don't have to know that.
What's a Planck length?
So
I thought you were just using. That was like the description in the book, and you were just using
no,
it.
no, they
Planck length is real.
is real. So
Okay.
electrons, you know, electrons.
Yes.
Yes.
The things that fly around.
Yeah. They're just like birds out there. They're just zipping
Wait,
around.
so protons and neutrons are the center, right?
Yeah, they're the center.
And then electrons are the little
A little
birdie things.
little birdie things.
Yeah.
Except they move so fast we can never know exactly where they are, and that little symbol that we associate them with.
Nope.
You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
You know what I'm talking about? The atom symbol, where it's like the nucleus.
Is it the
and then
AMU? Wait, what are you talking?
AMU?
Are you talking about
like
the
an image, like a drawing.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you were to draw an
Yeah.
atom.
Yeah,
you
I know
draw-
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be inaccurate. Because it would that
Because because it's not in motion, right?
like you can't draw like an orbital for an electron, right? It doesn't just go in a circle and like do a bunch of loop-de-loops. It's more complex than that. It could be at anywhere within a certain like distance from the nucleus, and we can either know where exactly it is, but not know how fast it's moving.
You can't trace its path, is what you mean?
It's just way too. It moves like almost the speed of light. So to draw
Interesting.
like an exact orbit would be wrong
Because
one
you can't.
instant later.
Okay,
right.
got it.
But anywho,
Does it? Okay,
Yeah.
question.
go ahead. This is great.
Does a neutron ever like do
Leave?
electron? No. Do electrons ever end up in the same position that it was before?
Probably. I mean, depending on what frame of reference.
Like, because you know how you were saying like a second later it's not going to be the same, or a
Yeah.
millisecond later it won't be the same.
Yeah, yeah.
But could it ever be in that position?
Again, twice in one spot. I mean, sure. When you're talking about atoms, like if you were to get the center of the atom
Mhm.
and say like this is up, like this is Y, this is X, and this is Z, right? If you were to hold the center of the atom still, yeah, it'd probably be in the same place more than once, definitely. You know, like
Okay.
probably.
Anyway,
Sure.
what were we talking about? Before? I
the
completely-
Planck length.
Planck length. What is it?
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. So an electrons can have like different set radiuses of like how far away they are, and they're called levels. I'm like just learning this in chemistry class.
Okay.
So at N1, it's at a certain level. At
Got it.
N2, it's at a certain level and it's farther away from the nucleus.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something when you want to move it a little bit?
Yeah,
You want,
I'm
it's-
uncomfortable
it's
now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I need to lean back. Sometimes I want to sit up. I just don't know.
Hey, feel free to change.
Yeah. All right. That's great. Perfect.
Okay.
Talking about the microphone stands once again.
Yeah.
Planck length.
Planck length.
Levels.
Levels, and so
Mhm.
when an electron goes from one level to another one, if it goes from a higher one to a lower one, it needs energy to do that. If it goes from
Where does
no.
it get that energy?
it can come from something hitting it, right? Hitting the atom, can put energy into the system, right? Like if I hit something with a hammer, it's either gonna get hotter, right? Like because of friction, or like, you know, it's gonna move,
Right.
It now
Okay.
has like
Another
energy in
question.
it. Yeah.
Where are atoms found?
Where are they? Everywhere.
But in what set? Like, are they found in humans? Are they found in
Atoms?
Yeah.
Atoms make up everything.
Really?
What do you?
Well, I mean, like
Yeah.
like I've always heard that, but
Uh-huh.
it's difficult to imagine.
It is.
Right,
It's
because
like
you can't see it.
it's like imagine how big like the sun is, and it's like most of us misrepresent how big the Earth is.
Like, you know how
Yeah.
when you zoom in on Google Maps, you just
Yeah.
zoom in and zoom
How
in
much
and
would you
zoom
have
in.
to zoom in?
Right. Like, I want to see what does the
Um,
big picture look like. Obviously, it looks like some whatever, like a human.
There are
etc.
yeah. So before we weren't able to take photo. Well, first let me answer your question of like where are atoms? They're everywhere. Yes.
I just don't understand. It's hard to picture, but okay.
So yeah, maybe we'll start small. Maybe instead of
No, start big, cause I
start
don't.
big
Yeah,
from like the Earth.
No, like human
From
big,
macro
and then
to micro.
right,
Okay.
right.
All right, I'll do that. So we are right here. So, I've read a couple books and stuff. You know, not to brag.
Great, wonderful.
In one of them, the history of nearly everything. I think there's an example where it's like, all right, imagine a needle.
Right.
Okay. Now look at the pointy side.
Okay.
If you were to just take just the tip of that needle, and you make it 1 billion times smaller.
See, but that's difficult to imagine because
that's
what
I was about to. Just get back to my point of, I fake it till I make it. Where it's like when something happens and it's like I can't understand, I sort of like assign a variable to it. It's like this is X, right?
Right.
I know the input of X, which is like make it 1 billion times smaller, and I know the output is okay. Now we're here, right? And it's like that transition of like how small it is doesn't. Nothing matters until you're like, okay, there's science for like how the pin would fall, right?
Okay.
Like I can calculate like if I throw it at this velocity at this angle, I can find out where it lands. And then there's like atomic, like if an atom does this around a certain orbit, it blah blah blah, right? There's I mean, I guess there's cells, which is kind of it's way bigger than atoms for sure.
Okay.
Way
See, that's
smaller
better.
Than a pin.
I can
yeah
visualize that better than an atom.
A cell?
Yeah,
because it has like other things in it. Yeah,
right,
an atom makes up cells.
How many atoms are in a cell?
I remember I asked that question once. Still like billions.
Really?
Yeah, atoms are tiny.
But like, okay, so what's smaller than a cell?
Well, atoms. And the things.
Is there
inside.
something in between a cell and an atom?
Smaller cells, viruses.
It's just so difficult to like picture that in your head.
To go that small.
But
yeah.
The thing is, if somebody was able to think all of this up, then surely it's imaginable, right? Like somebody, like
I mean,
over
I
time,
imagine it, but
like, I just,
yeah.
I feel like somebody, like, I don't know, HBO needs to make a visual. You know how they do really good visuals and stuff and like documentaries.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch. You just got to get into the science, like entertainment.
I've always I told you when I was like in middle school, I wanted to go like be an astrophysicist, but like I'm terrible at math. Terrible.
Yeah.
So I thought politics would be
politics. It's like, man, I love science, and political science is like, hey, I'm technically science, and you're like, all right, yeah, fuck it, here we go.
It was the first science.
Political science?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
For a while, science was called, everything was called philosophy, and then science was at first called natural philosophy, which is like the philosophy of nature.
A great transition.
For this conversation, or just in general?
Because
okay,
a lot
I still
of
have like a lot of like atom stuff in my brain, but I'll throw it away.
Okay, a lot of people think that astrology is not a science.
It's not a science.
Or it's debated.
This is a great.
I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't have a particular stance on it, but a lot of people debate whether or not it's a science.
Okay.
I was reading about it this morning because I needed to
give you an answer,
for this? Right?
Yeah.
Because I had no idea myself. My bad.
So, what'd you find? Feel free. Also, this podcast, just cut it off for a second.
Yeah.
Is the most openest, safe space ever.
Yeah.
You heard me say my big old stupid ideas on this thing. This is for us. This is particularly to look back on, and maybe some people will enjoy it along the way.
I love it. It's great. All right.
Okay, go.
Astrology. I have no idea, but I was reading an article this morning, and it was like apparently some point along the way, astrology kind of got diluted. Sorry,
No,
fixing
yeah,
the mic stand.
keep talking. You don't have
It's
to
just
say
so
that every
close.
time.
I
This
just,
is close to me.
I don't know.
Do you want me
Okay,
to maybe scoot back on your chair or something?
I don't know. I'll scoot forward.
This-
How about that?
I mean, be comfortable. Be comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was saying,
Yes.
I forgot what I was saying.
Astrology,
Oh,
science.
somewhere along the way, it
Mhm.
kind of got diluted by psychology, and people were like, "Oh, that's a fake science. This is real." And yeah, but apparently, like, astrology has been around for like
Forever.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether or not it's real. All I know is that like it kind of makes sense to me whenever I get not like my horoscope, but like the idea that like your birth chart where everything's positioned when you were born can have some kind of impact on you later on in life.
Yeah, you mentioned this how like you don't like I don't want to speak for you, but like you
Right.
said you don't understand it,
I
right?
don't.
Okay. So you don't understand it but you believe in it.
Right.
Which is like that's what faith is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to diss on faith or anything.
Right. I feel like a lot of people shit on astrology just because of like
you know,
it was the early 2000 that really fucked it up.
you
if
know
I'm being
when
honest.
dude, I remember when I had a BlackBerry and I can check my horoscope every morning.
A BlackBerry? Those
Yes.
phones were so cool.
Dude.
That was like a thing. Like
Blackberries,
before
of course.
iPhones, it was like the BlackBerry.
Yeah, before, smartphones, yeah.
You know what I specifically remember?
Mhm.
Because my mom and I would go into the Verizon store all the time because she
Uh-huh.
had somebody, like a family member, work there or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she would try to always upgrade her phone. And so there was this little Palm Pilot. Do you know what those were?
Oh my god, no. But I'm
Palm
imagining
Pilots.
a silver with a stylus.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what it was, but I remember every time I would go into the store, they would have the displays, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh!" and I'd play around with it.
Yeah.
Palm Pilots.
I do
yeah.
that with at Apple stores when I like walk into one for some reason and I feel like the most fish out of water thing in my life and I just
Right.
like pick up an iPad and I just start doodling and I'm like, this
Yeah.
is amazing.
Side note: Alex has
Yeah.
an Android. That's probably why.
Wow. Wow.
Well, you
I'll
have
have you
to
know-
Why would you be a fish out of water in an Apple store if you?
No, okay, I don't feel fish out of water with the technology, although I do feel weird whenever I do use an Apple product just because of like how like clean it is. Like it feels like
No,
like,
it makes me feel better because I get when everything's messy
Uh-huh.
around me, it scares me. Like my phone's color coded even.
nice. I mean that's great for you. For me, when I use an Apple product, it makes me feel like if I were to turn each product, Android and Apple, into personalities, Apple would be the fakest bitch ever. It would
Well,
be like
I wouldn't
bedazzled
say that.
fingernails
I
with
wouldn't
like
say
the
that.
biggest eye makeup. You know what
No.
I'm saying?
It depends on the person who's holding it.
I mean, that's true. Oh my god, I want to say this. This is a safe space.
I
Okay.
love say it.
I could 100% tell just by looking at any person whether or not they have an iPhone.
Really?
Like 100%.
You think
like
so?
maybe like 99%, but like for sure.
So if I were to show you random pictures of people, you would say, "Yep, they have an iPhone."
I would have to. I feel like I have to see them in motion. I have to see
Hmm.
how their facial expressions move when they like walk.
Are you sure?
I mean, most of the time, there are some like obvious signs.
Okay, here's another thing
Yeah.
about like philosophy.
Yeah.
I know we're bouncing back and forth,
Which
but
is great.
me personally,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't make sound judgments about people without knowing them. Like I refuse.
Like morally.
Not in the sense of like it's wrong to do it,
Yeah.
but my mom has always been the kind of person who's like, you never jump to conclusions because that's when it's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like
My dad said, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me, which are the letters in assume. He didn't
Very
say that
true.
last part, but I just wanted to explain that.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, your mom.
But yeah, because I remember when I was like graduating from high school, I was like, oh, why don't we like have like a grad party before the graduation? She was like, no, we're not gonna do that. And I was like, why? Everybody's gonna have their parties afterwards.
Right.
Like we can do it early and like save the trouble of like RSVP, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like, no, you don't know you're gonna graduate. And I was like, yes, I do. I
And
know
it's like,
I'm gonna.
pretty
She
sure
was like,
I'm
no, 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 no. Until you walk across that stage, you are not graduating. And I was
Mhm.
like,
More technically, until you get it in the mail or you pick
right,
it up at the front
until you
desk.
have something officially to say, like some kind of sound
Yeah.
decision, you don't know 100%. And that's how I've always been.
been raised. Yeah.
Right. So even with people now, I'm like, that person's like in my head. I'll probably
Yeah,
be like,
you
oh, this
do.
person is probably like this, and then I'm like, hold up.
Hold up.
That is
Hold up.
incorrect, Natalie, and you know that. You don't know them until you actually know them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I do that when it comes to whether or not I hate a person. I give it 6 months.
6 months
Always give it. Is that too long?
I think so. Personally, it
Yeah.
depends. Because I have pretty good intuition. So I can kind of, I think.
Don't judge him till you know him.
No,
How long has it been? Like a week? I fucking know this person. I hate
no,
them.
no. But that's the thing. Like, upon first meeting somebody,
Yeah.
I could never do that.
You never do that.
Until a situation happens where I'm like, oh, that's odd. And then, like, me acknowledging that it's odd, I'm like, oh, that's probably not headed in a good direction. Intuition. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily make a sound decision until I'm like, okay, you've done this so many times, like, this is enough.
That was an excellent bleep for everyone at home. I didn't edit that.
No. I do it because my mom hates it when I swear. And so I do it all the time.
I try to do that as a kid, where it's like whenever I'd cuss, I'd always try to like empty it out myself, and I always looked around to see if anyone was like, "Huh? Did I just hear like a beep?" Like, or not like a beep, but like a blank in like real life.
No, I'm so good at it because my grandma, she hates it when I swear. I have to. It comes naturally.
It has to come naturally.
Right.
Okay. What were we talking? Oh, iPhones. No, but after that, we're talking about judging
people.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
I want to trace backwards.
Okay.
Out of this rabbit hole.
Sure.
Here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, like we do make like assumptions just based off of a like survive or die instinct. Like if you see something like it's kind of changed for like our society.
Right.
Where it's like if you see someone in a hoodie, maybe with like a shape in their jacket pocket, right? You're gonna be like, I'm gonna avoid this person.
Right.
Like not because like of anything. This is nothing personal.
Right.
This person just looks shady.
Right.
Right. So like you can kind of like follow those steps if you keep going down that vein. Like you can kind of like pull out like if you look at someone's face and they're like angry, right? You're not gonna like you're gonna be a little different.
You're gonna dodge them.
Right.
Sure.
You might avoid them or like you just take their angriness level and keep like decreasing it. You're gonna have a sort of gradient reaction for each kind of level there is, and
I think it's such a difficult thing to say just because I mean it's
I'm not saying
the
it's
world
okay,
that we live in is so difficult. It's difficult to make that judgment call just because of everything that we're like thrown in the face with, right?
Yeah, there's
in
so much
terms
stuff
of like
we have to deal with.
Perception about people and race and things like those kind of factors.
Oh yeah, I mean you take
and
out...
so it's like I don't know. It's difficult because on the one hand, for me personally, if that situation's happening to me, I'm just gonna like be like, fuck it. If I die today, I die today.
I die today.
But I mean, you can't really. That's why for me, I have to be 100% sure about something in order to say like, oh, this person's a bad person, like they're being sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, so there's one thing I've realized I've discovered the thing behind it, but one thing I've always told myself is like if I ever like have an instinctual like that person, right?
Yeah.
I always think like that I just have this other good side of me that's just like, dude, what if their mom just died?
Right.
And I'm like, you're right. Like I don't know what's up with them right now. Like, when people are angry, they're like and they start like yelling at you or like they start being angry at you, and it obviously wasn't from something you did, or sometimes it's not obvious.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're angry at something else,
right?
And like that thing
and they're
angry
taking
at
it
happened
out
because of them, right? And like most of the times you have to like, at first you want to be like aggression. Where is it pointed at? Towards me. How do I defend myself? And you're like, defend myself with words because we live in a society, and like then you get defensive, right?
Right.
But if you can like realize that the aggression
is not like, directed
it's pointed towards
you,
but it's not coming for you.
Right.
Right. So, well, unless you handle it bad,
you
gotta know what's up.
Dude, I have this situation happen all the time. My bad. With my sisters and my family, because it happens like my sisters have a tendency to take out their aggression on like my family's done it like all the time. So toxic, it's horrible. But as I've grown up, I've learned that a lot of the times I'm like, okay, clearly it's not me that this is directed to. You're clearly stressed.
Yeah.
You have a lot of homework. You're doing a lot of shit. Like what's actually going wrong? Like,
Mhm.
like, tell me what's your problem
Yeah.
instead of getting mad at me, because I'm not the one to get mad at.
Dude, that is insane. Well, that's not insane, but what's I don't know why I said that hyperbole.
Sure.
One time my dad was on a phone call with my mom, right? He wanted
Mhm.
to talk to her about something. Like there was just something happening.
Right.
And my dad just like my dad like wanted a thing,
Right.
right? Not something like not like an item, but like he called to for
A
like
specific ask. Right.
right, like he
Sure.
like a thing wanted to be done, right?
Right.
And he was on the phone call for that reason.
Mhm.
And when my mom was like, "That thing's not going to happen,"
Mhm.
right? Like your goal is unachievable right now.
Right.
He like started to like he always like repeats the question like
Until
thinks
he gets
until
the
he gets
answer
an
he
answer,
wants. Yeah.
right? But like sometimes when it is just like no, like this thing is just truly unachievable.
Right.
Like he started to get like more and more upset, and then my mom like like I was like we were both sitting next to each other and like we're holding the phone on speaker or something,
Right.
and I see it in her face, where like she's on the phone with him, right, and she's like answering his questions, and then he's
Mhm.
like, "You have a bad day at work?" Like she just like cut him off, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like for most people like might see through that. I don't know
Mhm.
how many people would. I feel like I would,
Yeah.
but my dad was just like, "Yeah, yeah, I did,"
Oh my
and it
god,
was like,
this reminds
whoa.
me about something that I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
The way that we handle our emotions, particularly.
Dude.
I remember thinking about this about my sister, one of my older sisters. I have
Mm-hmm.
two. It's completely irrelevant, but whatever. Um, and there was, I don't know why, but I suddenly had like this image, like a visual in my head about how we um react to things, right? There's like almost like a barrier between like, oh, I was thinking about it. It was about like repressed memory, because we were talking about like stuff like that,
Yeah.
and how in certain situations you don't know why you act the way that you do,
In
but
certain situations, yeah.
right, but you
Or
have
most
this,
of the time.
yeah, you have this initial reaction to just kind of like get anxious or
Yeah.
cry or whatever it is.
Yeah, something
But-
more extreme for whatever case it is.
Right. And so I was thinking of it like a barrier in your mind, right?
Yeah.
You have like the iceberg. You know what I'm talking? The iceberg
Yeah,
that's
90%
like in
of it is
every
underwater.
like K through 12 classroom, right?
Okay,
Um,
sure, yeah.
There's like the lowest level of it, right? And
Uh-huh.
that's where like all the like bad shit is happening, right?
Okay.
Bad memories.
Okay.
And
what's
so-
coming out the top?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
getting
yeah,
there.
Yeah, we're
Sure. So bad stuff.
bad stuff. Bad stuff's down there.
And then like you're in a situation similar to what happened in that bad stuff. Not entirely, but maybe
Yeah.
it's the people you're around. Maybe it's like a environment that's like causing you to be like, "Argh." And so then like there's the barrier,
Uh-huh.
and like these bad emotions are like pushing through, and you're like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Because you can't explain what's behind the
like
barrier.
a trigger, kind of?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's more like a visual way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And so like there's like a little
There's a little
thing pushing through.
penetration from the bottom up
Sure.
that just like comes out of what looks like to you on the surface like the fucking ground of just like, oh,
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
I have this emotion.
Right.
All right, emotion. You gotta get out of there, dude. You
Right.
gotta
And then you're
fucking-
like crying and emotional, and you're like, what's happening to me? I forgot where this was going. But yeah.
I mean,
What
Finish
were
your
you
sentence.
talking before?
my mom. When it comes to emotions, and you're like, I feel like there's a barrier.
Right.
Okay.
And so like we have like these instinctual reactions.
Mhm.
We don't know how to deal with it. But you were saying like a lot of people can't see through that. Like, for example, you had a bad day of work, and all of a sudden you're put in an environment where it's like triggering something from your bad memories, and it's all just accumulating, and you're like, "Rah!" and taking it out on other people, and
Uh-huh.
other people around you aren't going to understand what's going on in your brain, except for
No,
the
yeah.
very few people who can cut through it and say like, clearly something else is up, and
Yeah.
this is not me that's causing it.
Yeah. I wanted to say, oh God, I've been thinking about this recently, just like every now and then, like forever. Uh, my mom, my wonderful, amazing mom.
Yeah.
I said like how I discovered a thing behind like what if their mom died, right? Like you don't know this person's day when it
Right.
comes to judging people.
Right.
I realized the I have like a lot of layers of personalities in my brain.
Oh yeah, me
So-
too.
So turns out that the guy who was saying like, dude, what if their mom just died? Got that from another dude in my brain who said, what would your mom do in this situation? Because to me, my mom is
Mm.
the apex of moral choice.
Really?
Is like
You
she
think so?
my mom is the most blessed and blessed person to fucking walk this planet. It's insane.
I mean,
like when she does like I know like giving to the homeless and stuff isn't like the apex of like to be moral, right?
right.
But like you like when I see her like when she's like she like no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
if she sees a homeless person, she's like, oh, like you gotta give them money. And my mom
yeah.
is like, you know the Bible story where it's like the woman with the 2 cents donates her last 2 pennies to like the church with Jesus in it.
Sure.
You don't know it?
Nope.
I can tell it really fast. It's super fast.
Okay.
Jesus is at like a church
Mhm.
or something, I think. I mean, this is just, you know, I'm trying to remember here.
Okay, I think I know where you're going.
And people
with
are
this.
like, hey, like, don't, like, and it's like, hey, please donate to the church. We'll spread it out,
Mhm.
and so that way a church can keep being church. And people are like, yo, bro, I got like a bajillion bucks. Like, here's
Mhm.
my bajillion bucks. And, just, you know, and the church is like, okay, cool, thank you. Right? And other people are like, bro, you Jesus, dude, like, here's like my house. Right?
Mhm.
And people are just giving all this stuff.
Right, because he's Jesus.
Because, well, not just because he's Jesus, because they're also like, well, maybe because they're like, yo, like, someone important's here. Like, I'm going to, like, really show off, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe that was why. Or maybe people, you know, maybe it's just a story, right?
Mhm.
Not like Jesus isn't
Yeah,
real, but like
Got
to
it,
make what's going to happen sound even more cool.
Mhm.
But while all this is happening, while people are giving all this money, this woman in rags comes up and she donates like 2 pennies,
Mhm.
right? And then Jesus is like, yo, stop everything. This woman right
Hold up.
here, she gave more than all of you combined. 'Cause
Right.
She has nearly nothing
To
and
give.
to give, but
But
she
she-
still gave
Exactly.
because of her faith in like
Beautiful
humanity.
story.
And it's the beautiful, and that's my mom.
Yeah.
Like literally, my mom. Like, dude, fucking.
That was
this
like
definitely happened before. I
right.
can't remember a specific memory, but like 100%. Where it's
Right.
like we go to Jack in the Box. It's like, okay, we need some food to eat because we're hungry, and like,
Mhm.
where's the money? And we're like digging through like fucking coins and stuff,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, okay, like we have
Right.
2 Jack in the Box tacos for $9.99
Right.
or 99
$29.
cents. It was 99 cents
Was
back
it?
then.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like later we're driving and like my mom will just see like a homeless dude on the street and it's like, oh, my mom clearly would like to buy more food with this money.
Yeah, my mom was
Right?
always like
And
that.
then she like gives the money away to like this guy. And
Yeah.
you always hear it's like, you know, who knows like, you know, what they're gonna spend it on and whatever,
Mhm.
but she's like, no, like help the homeless.
Yeah.
Right? And like who knows how my mom would see things differently if like if she didn't have to raise like 3 kids in like extreme poverty and like go through homelessness herself, right?
Right.
To be like, hey man, like either this person is gonna spend it on booze
Mhm.
and I took that chance, or this person really needs this money.
Right.
Like I'm gonna take that
But
chance.
at least you yeah,
Right.
it's like a 50-50, but at least
it's like the most selfless kind of person. Like whenever my mom is like talking to someone, to anyone, it's like she's like just she like I don't know how I personally feel about like
Mhm.
God and stuff.
Mhm.
But dude, if there's anyone where God just fucking exists, dude, it's my mom.
Damn.
Like she there's so many times where
It's-
just crazy shit has happened where it's
Yeah.
like yeah, like it must be God.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
interesting because like my abuelita was like that.
Mhm.
Like everybody in my family like loved her. She was like the matriarch of the family, and
Mhm.
she was very much respected because of how giving of a person she was.
That's great.
And one of the things that like when we were younger, it was similar to what you were saying, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like implemented in how my sisters and I like treat people now.
Mhm.
Cuz my older sister, they went to Mexico like maybe last year, And I guess, like, there's kids there who are known for, like, panhandling, who are, like, going up to people, like,
Yeah.
acting, quote unquote, as if they're
Poorer
poor
than they
in
are.
order to get money from, like, tourists. And, like, they're known for that. But my mom and my aunts were like, no, 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 don't do it. Like, they're just gonna take it, and, like, more kids are gonna come up. My sister was like, I don't care what they end up doing it, because there's probably some kid
Yeah.
within that bunch that desperately needs that money,
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not, like, there's other kids there who are just being, like,
They just want to buy some
asses
fucking
for
candy.
right,
Yeah.
right. And so that's
back to
kind
their
of like
houses.
that mentality that we have now, that, like,
Yeah.
honestly, if they are gonna do something bad with it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But at least you did what you could.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
for me, like, I don't think my mom thinks even like, to me, like, I rationalize it like that. Like, maybe
Mhm.
somewhere down there she's thinking that, but I think my mom just has like just a primal level of like oh, like, someone's in need, like, I gotta help them.
Right.
Like, man, I don't know. I
I
can
think-
keep talking about my
yeah.
mom, but I brought her up because it was judging people.
Right.
Right. So, like, for example, this one person came in with I think they had like, they wanted to return a laptop and then
Mhm.
check one out right away, which is
Right.
against the rules,
Right.
right? And it was like, you have to wait 2 hours.
Mhm.
And they were like, I have to wait 2 hours, right? And it's like, well, because, like, I want to return this computer because it was slow, right? And, like, the coworker was there and they tried to, like, open it up, and it took like 10 seconds for, like, Chrome to even, like, look like it was going to do anything,
Mhm.
right? Like, the computer was obviously slow, but
Yeah.
we had to stick to our policy, or at least that's what we did, right?
Mhm.
And at first I wanted to be like, oh, you have to wait for a free computer, huh? Is that so? Aw, poor you, huh? The service isn't good enough for you, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Right. But
fuck,
sorry,
my bad.
I have more to say.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So and I was thinking about the and I was like, well, like, it does, like, maybe this person does need the computer, right? I was like, maybe
Right.
their mom died, right? But then I was thinking, like, but I still want to judge this person, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, how, like, it wasn't just what would my mom do, but I thought, how would you treat them if they were your mom, right?
Fuck.
Which is way better than I think. What if put them in your shoes?
Do you know what happened
It's
to me
put your
the
mom in their
other
shoes.
fucking day?
What?
Oh, I just did it.
Nice.
You're welcome. That similar situation happened to me. And I understand what you're saying. You're always in the balance between, like, dude, like, this is a free service, relax.
Yeah.
And also, like, fuck, they might be having, damn it, I didn't do it that time. They might be having, like, need this desperately. And it's
Yeah.
like, it sucks because sometimes I'm in that headspace of, like, follow the policy. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like an asshole about it. But then there's other times where I'm like, okay, Natalie, you need to relax. Like, these people are probably having a really shitty day. You need
Yeah.
to, like, give them a break. And there was this instance where we have a certain policy. It's not, well, it is a policy at our job where
Yeah.
we have to make sure that people aren't switching computers in between them.
Yeah.
There was this mom and this son who came in. And I don't know, were you there maybe?
I don't recall this.
Anyway, so it was this mom and this son. And
Mhm.
so the mom returned the computer like, they were both there checking in.
They're both students?
Yeah, one of them was like an open university student. The other one was like an enrolled student. I mean,
Okay.
they're both the same thing. Different statuses, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so then the mom returned the computer, and it was his. And he was returning it, I guess, yeah, so it was his, and he was checking something else out.
So, like, whose ID card did you
They
ask
were-
for?
Hers.
You asked for hers.
Right.
And she-
But then, like, you know when you return something, it shows up that it's not on their account?
Yeah.
That happened.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, this isn't your computer.
Uh-huh.
So he returns it because he's, like, right there.
Yeah.
And then she was like, okay, can I check it out? And I was like, no, like, no.
Yeah.
And he was like, why not? And he was like upset because it's his mom, right?
Yeah.
She's like right there. And I was like, man, if I were in his shoes right now, I'd be like,
You'd be
I'd be going
pissed?
off. Yeah, because that's my mom. I wouldn't let anybody treat my mom like that.
I mean, what'd you say?
I was like, I'm really sorry. But then he
You
was
showed
like,
sincerity.
right. And
I mean,
then he was like, okay, who am I gonna talk to? And John was like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to say his name. Sorry, John. I'm so fucking. Can we get that out?
No,
I don't want
I
to
don't know how
dox
to edit.
him.
Is you nope. I've said my full name on here before.
Have you really?
Yeah.
That's brave. Okay.
I doubt anyone's gonna.
I get
wanna kill me.
terrified of like stuff like that. I'm a
No,
very
I love
paranoid
being
person.
famous.
Anyway, did you say?
I said it like that on purpose. Yes.
I thought you said I love being famous.
No, I did. I said I love being famous.
Lovely. Okay. So
You're
yeah,
like-
and then he was like, "Who can I talk to about this?"
Yeah.
He was like mad, and I was like, "Oh." And so John comes over. He's like, "Yeah, man, sorry." And so he was like upset though. I was like, "Okay, it is what it is." And
Dude, I mean, to me, that wouldn't have anything to do with like, dude, that's my mom. That's just like, how did the mom react? What was the mom doing?
they were just very confused about the situation.
But the kid was angry.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to imagine.
It's
Mhm.
difficult. It's such a difficult because
That wasn't difficult to me. I definitely would. I mean, as long as if I show, there's this thing in AA, where you like, you're supposed to like one of the steps is like you go and present like, hey, like I'm sorry, can you forgive me? I
Mhm.
forgive you if you did anything. My side of the street is clean. This is to you now.
Balls
like,
in
I
your
want you to-
court kind
yeah,
of
like,
situation.
It's kind of like a balls in your court, but way less aggressive and in fact more peaceful. And so if I'm like, listen, I
Here's
truly
the
understand.
thing.
Like, you know,
My sister and I argue about this all the time. Like we
Ooh,
debate, not
okay.
argue.
yes,
Because I'm very much the type of person who tries to give as much as I can to somebody. And at a certain point,
hmm
my sister's like, enough's enough. I can't handle the situation anymore. Like she cuts it off.
yeah,
For me, I'm the opposite. I have to, like I was saying earlier, I
Yeah.
have to be 100% about a situation in order for me to end whatever that is.
yeah.
And so for me, I have to know that
Mhm.
I've done whatever I can to help this person in order for me to say I can step away now.
Mm.
And like my sister's like, that's unhealthy. You can't always do that. And it's like,
Yeah.
it is, sure, but like I can't help it because in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
I'd feel terrible if I didn't ask that one last time, or I didn't give my help that
Yeah.
one last time, and then suddenly something terrible happened to them, and I'm like, I could have helped them.
That's for me. Oh God, I've explained this a long time ago, where it's not on this podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
like all of my philosophies
Mhm.
align. Like everything I think I believe aligns with a like very survival of the fittest. Like me, like bro, I did my. You gotta.
There's a
pick up
certain
your, why
word
would I
for that.
slow
I
down?
think it's like
Egotistical,
no. It's like very,
egocentric.
I guess, anarchist. There's
Anarchy?
there's like a sense. I forgot somebody
Anarcho?
else was saying this. I was listening to a different podcast. It was like H3H3.
Okay,
know, with
yeah,
them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I guess they have like telling your ghost story or whatever. And they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
one guy, I forgot what his name is.
Okay.
He's like a video gamer and he gets like really angry on camera sometimes. Do
Okay.
you know what I'm talking
No,
about? Okay.
no. Well,
Anyway,
maybe I will,
so
but
he
keep
was like
going.
saying how like he didn't give a about anything and everybody until one time, like I guess his mom passed away, and
Mm.
he had always told people like before, if you die, I need you to like do something to show me that there's something after this, so
Yeah,
that I'm not completely
like afraid.
no, but like so that I give a little bit of about some things.
Oh, he wanted to care, but he didn't.
Right, but he was like very like I forgot what the word that he used, but I guess it was like anarchist or something about life in
Sure, I mean, that
general.
makes-
Like
yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then
I don't
what-
know if that's relative to what you were saying.
It is, except I
Like
would say something
survival
else,
of
but
the
I need to know
fittest?
the end of that story. He gets a ghost thing. And
Yeah,
he's like,
so
it's
his
probably
mom like taps him on the shoulder, and he was like, right,
Yeah.
and I guess he ended up being like, oh shit, I guess there is
Yeah.
something out there.
There's God, I know this is like we're going deeper down this rabbit hole. But
Yeah, but I mean it's a perfect transition
It's
because
a- wait,
death, that's
hold
one
on.
of the topics.
It is. I wasn't done with the previous topic.
Yeah, go
but
for it.
Here
Keep
we
going.
go. My grandma, my mother's side, my mom's mom,
Yeah.
passed away a while, like years ago, like maybe
Yeah.
2012, 2013. Yeah,
I didn't mean
2013
that in
or
a happy
so.
way. It just came out
I
that way.
honestly don't remember, and I feel bad that I don't.
I
I was
actually really like talking about death.
deaf.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. I'm sure you and Death will get along great.
Yeah, we'll be great friends. I'm
Dude,
sure.
I want to be Death's sidekick. So
You were
my,
saying-
my grandma
sorry, my
passed
bad.
away.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah, no. And there's something again with my mom. My mom told me how when my grandma was on her deathbed, she was angry, right?
Really?
I don't remember what she
Wait,
said.
your
She was
mom?
my mom's mom. My grandma.
Your grandma was
she had breast
angry.
cancer, which turned into bone
Interesting.
cancer, which is
Oh
like
no, I'm so sorry.
an instant termination, basically, because like
I'm
that's where your
sorry.
blood
Yeah,
comes
I
from.
know. Yeah.
And so she was like on her deathbed, and my grandma was like
Mhm.
angry. I don't remember why. Maybe it was like at she was dying, and my mom was
Right.
saying that she was saying like oh, like I don't like fucking believe in afterlife. Like I'm just gonna fucking die right now. I'm just gonna be.
Oh, she
fuck."
was upset because she was gonna die.
I think. I mean, maybe. I'm
Interesting.
just remembering what my mom told me
Right.
that she
Okay.
said.
Keep
right?
going. I won't interrupt. I promise.
It's fine. And my mom, and she said, and my mom said that she felt sad about that, because my
Mhm.
mom like super believes in God, right?
Right.
And she tells her, she said to me, I told her the purse story, and the purse story was, I'm gonna try and wrap it up real quick, make it real small. You gotta
Sorry, I keep
burp.
having to burp, and I don't want to do it in the
Just like
microphone.
let it out.
My apologies, everybody.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm just gonna go back to the podcast.
Okay. Continue.
Purse story basically, when my mom lost her purse and it had like everything in it, like
Oh, no.
ID, like money, like fucking green card, passport, like who, like just
Damn.
like everything important,
Right.
that
right.
would like define her as a person,
Right,
not like
right.
even legally, but just like without this purse, because my mom had huge purses. My mom is like a carrying thing. I don't want to say animal because that feels weird to say that
Wait,
my mom's like an
what?
animal. She carries a lot of stuff. She has
Right.
like 6 purses on her at all
Huge,
times,
just like knapsack.
and they're
sure.
like the size of a
Hiker's
extra large.
backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she lost her purse and it had like super valuable things in it.
Right.
And like my mom was just like devastated at that point, and she was like trying to find like this purse, and she was like, I remember leaving it at the laundry place, and she's back there again one night just like looking around, right?
Mhm.
And then like out of the shadows she hears people saying, I can say my mom's name, it's fine. She's Rose, hello, right? And she's like, what? Like that's my name. She turns around, it's like these 3 kids, it's 2 girls and a guy, right? Not kids, they were like 20s or something,
Right.
and they were like we like lost a purse, and we're trying to give it back to its owner. We found it here a while ago,
You're
and
kidding.
we didn't want to return it into the cops because like who would know, but like it was lost around here, so we were just like,
Oh my gosh, that's
you
so
know
nice.
and someone else came up and they were like, oh yeah, like that's my purse, and we're like, no it's not,
Yeah.
right? And so like these things happened, and
fight.
these things happened, and my mom, oh god, like that is one of the stories I think either grounds her or like grounds me whenever like she explains to me like God is real, man. This purse story, like not like that's not the only story, but like it's definitely like one of the huge ones where it's like these people, and like not only that, but they immediately get into it's like we felt God say like to us, like they were religious. My mom was like, yes, like also like it wasn't her. She wasn't thinking like, yes, you're religious, but it's like, yes, God, yes, right?
Yeah,
like
connection, sure. Yeah.
And that's one of the purse stories. So she tells that story to my grandma.
Right.
And she said that like not persuaded her, but she like it calmed her down, right? Which at some level means she believed it, right? And so like she helped her when she passed, and
Damn.
all of her kids, she had like 8 kids. She had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah,
I'm starting to become convinced that like we're the exact same person.
Me and you?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll tell you.
Basically, well, I mean, I don't know how many people were and weren't there, but oldest, 2nd
Mhm.
oldest son of her, right? So like one of my uncles.
Mhm.
So like they're all around her, and she passes away like on the hospital bed.
Right.
And I feel like I'm not sure if everyone else in my family like is or isn't like as religious as I don't think anyone is as religious as my mom in my family.
Right.
But I wasn't there, so she related to me as like she passes away, and then all of a sudden the one of the oldest brothers who like basically raised the rest of the kids while she was out working, like
Mhm.
bringing bacon to the table.
Mhm.
He really
Sorry. My bad. Continue.
he he all of a sudden like gets chills, and then he just starts writing things down,
Mhm.
right? And like he's like crying, and he starts like writing things down, and then he's like, I felt her, dude. He didn't say dude, but now, but that's funny. I think
I just love how you're telling this story. There's like little bits and pieces of Alex poking through,
there's
like
little bits and
bacon,
pieces of
dude.
bacon and dude,
Right. Okay. Continue.
and it was like, to me, it's like, one, I don't think my mom is lying.
Right.
Two, I don't think my uncle is lying.
Right.
Right. Three, I don't believe in ghosts. But
Really?
the other two cancel out the. It's like there's a great saying. I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm afraid of them.
Yeah.
So
That's a great saying.
So it's like, hell, man. Like maybe like. It's like, show me some science, because I love understanding.
Do you
right?
have you
put a
never
black box
gotten?
around things.
Have you never gotten
a
any
ghost
sign?
experience?
Yeah.
Sort of. No.
Never.
I mean, whenever I like do think I do sometimes, I Google it and there's an answer.
Damn.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like I've gotten things and I'm like, oh, this is probably not real. And then I Google it and I'm like, okay, I'm still gonna believe what I want to believe.
Because that's the thing with ghost stuff, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like, it could be.
You want to believe it's real.
Yeah, like it could be a projection from the mirror of the light by doing this, right?
Here's
Which is like happens more times than we think.
Yeah.
Or fucking ghosts.
Right.
Which one makes me feel happier?
Which one's more fun? Ghosts.
Fucking ghosts.
Yeah, exactly.
Or spirits. 'Cause
So
it
yeah.
feels weird calling my grandma a ghost.
Yeah.
Keep
I
going.
I always say like souls or spirits because that's
Yeah.
what my dad kind of calls them. So I always kind of use that because I think it's more formal too. Like soul, spirit.
Yeah. I mean, you ever just say the word Holy Ghost? It's a joke. Holy Spirit.
Oh,
please.
I thought you just meant like randomly.
Holy Ghost.
That's a good expression.
Holy
instead
Ghost?
instead of like holy cow or holy shit, Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. Oh my gosh.
The third God.
Okay, anyway, I was saying we're the same person.
We're the same person, you and I.
No, literally, because
Oh my God.
Yeah, my abuelita, she had 12
Quick,
kids.
what am I thinking? Whoa, 12?
Yeah,
Holy
she gave
shit.
birth to 12.
Whoa.
Two passed away, and one was adopted, so she had 11 in
Mm.
total. And yeah,
She adopted kids.
yeah, she adopted one.
Did she have money and stuff?
Well,
I mean,
that's-
she was fine.
that's
I
the
guess.
bit of the controversy between my sisters and my mom. Because my mom, when we were growing up, she would always tell us this goddamn taco story. She was like, when I was younger.
Patriarchal stories. Here we go. Keep going.
Fuck, man. Okay. When I was younger, like, your abuelita had one taco. And she used to split it all between us. And I was like, one taco? Are you sure? She's like, no. One taco split between all of us. And that was like her story to teach us how to give, whatever.
Dude,
And
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm gonna do a thing later. I just want to let you know now.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna try to one up you.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
all right,
I'm sorry.
that's
I don't
fine.
want to, but I'm going to do it.
I love
have
a
to.
competitive podcast.
Yeah, go. Keep going. Sorry.
And so then,
I really
my
don't want
mom, the other thing is,
to.
they always had maids. Okay, they had maids
your
growing
abuelita
up.
had maids?
Yeah,
Ugh.
to help them around the house and shit. And I was like, how can you tell me y'all were eating one damn taco and then had maids?
Yeah.
No,
No.
you're lying. You're lying. At
Yeah.
some point, you're. So anyway.
One of these things doesn't fucking track, all right?
Exactly. So then, the other thing was they had
Mhm.
like a cantina next door that they run. And
I don't know.
what do you mean you
What
don't
cantina?
know? It's like a bar.
It's like a bar.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought
just
you
know the
meant
Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars.
I thought you meant like you don't know, as in like I'm telling the story. How could you not? Like you wouldn't even know this part of this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know what comes next. Please tell me. Tell me, please.
So anyway, I was saying we're the same exact person because
yeah.
my abuelita also died from cancer too, and
Okay.
she was also terminally ill. When she passed away, she actually lived in our house. So she had an apartment.
Like attached to the house?
No. So they lived near us, but
Mm.
she lived with my tia and my abuelito, and they lived in that little apartment. When she got sick, the little apartment was too small for her to, because they were considering either hospice
Yeah.
or like moving her to like a home, like some.
Yeah.
But you can only bring 2 people at a time, and
Into
she
the
has
room, right?
11 kids.
Yeah.
Let alone 27 grandkids. And I'm like, you're not going to fit that many people.
In a room.
Right.
That'd be weird even.
So then they
Mm.
decided to have her stay with my mom, which is my family,
Yeah.
obviously. And she was like, I don't know, for like a month she lived, and then she passed away. But the crazy thing is she, like, maybe like a day or 2 before, she was doing so well, to the point where like everybody was like, oh my god, she's gonna recover, she's gonna do fine. Yeah, apparently like it's a common thing among like people who are close to dying that like a couple days before, like you kind of give it your all, I suppose, and then like it kind of just goes downhill from there. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say in particular about death.
You're telling a taco story.
Taco story?
How your parent.
Yeah,
mom
but
split
what I
up
was
the one
saying, we were
taco
like basically the same because like
maids.
our
Oh, yeah.
grandma died from cancer, shit ton of kids,
Yeah.
etc.
I mean, my grandma on my dad's side also had 6 kids.
yeah, my other grandma only has 2.
But so your grandma had to split one taco
I don't believe
between,
it's
which
true.
you
I don't believe it's true.
What
And
I do believe is my grandma, my mom would tell me
mhm.
about how her grandma my mom would tell me about how her mom told stories about how when my grandma, this is so, I don't know what kind of tense to phrase this in.
Okay, just start over and then I
Okay.
can help you out.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so my mom would tell
Mhm.
me about how her mom,
Your grandma.
my grandma,
Mhm.
told my mom
Mhm.
about how her, so you know who I'm saying when I say her, is my grandma.
Okay,
her and her
so
mom.
let me
So my great grandma.
okay,
here.
let me read this back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so your mom told you a story.
Yeah.
About something that your grandma told her about
Yes.
your great grandma.
Not great grandma, just great grandma.
Great grandma.
So when my great grandma and my grandma were growing up,
Mhm.
right, mother and daughter, and I don't know how many kids my great grandma had, right, but my mom told me, I was like, when we were like, they were fucking poor and they ate grass, and it's like my mom wouldn't tell me like
actually.
like she wouldn't say that to be.
Stop. Are you serious?
Yes, like
Grass.
they were that poor. They ate the grass and dirt because
Alright.
they didn't have food, and it's like that's not something she would lie about. One, because it's like she doesn't need to guilt trip me into eating food. Because when it's like, Mom, please, I'm hungry. I need to go to my morning bathroom at Jack in the Box because I lived in a car.
Right.
Right. It's like she doesn't need to guilt trip me into be like, yo, eat your food.
Right.
So it's like, one, there's some believability there, and it's like, 2, it's like I know I come from a long line of poverty on my mom's side, like, for sure. And it's like,
and look at you now.
look at me now. I'm in
Alex, I'm so
making a
proud of
fucking
you.
podcast.
Woo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like it's like they eat grass.
Damn.
So I'm,
See, that's
one up your taco story.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I'm so sorry. I hate it when I do that.
No, that's I even second guessed it for a second. I was like, grass? Are you serious? Grass?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing.
And I feel it's insane how I feel like if I didn't hear that, I would be like, dude, that's ridiculous.
Right.
But me having heard it and just knowing the absolute context is
Right.
like, no, yeah, like how I believe it so much when I can think about it rationally is
Mhm.
also insane
Yeah.
to me.
I think I'm glad we're having this conversation because I feel like it was always like my mom always tried to teach me about like how to be how to be like I don't know, humble or how to be like
Yeah.
modest. And so she would always tell me these stories about like you should be grateful, and I'm like I am, but like also
Go calm down.
you're right.
Sometimes I don't want to eat all these beans.
Right. And she would like always say like we would have to drive like an hour to get to school
Yeah.
and home. And so like we would always be hungry in the car, and she's like we have food at home, don't worry about it.
We got
And I was
food
like,
at
I don't
home."
want what we have at home. My mom's like, there are people who don't have anything to eat, so relax. And I was like, because I was a bratty little kid.
Yeah, me too. I was a picky fucking kid
Yeah.
as a kid.
Well, my mom, it was funny because I was having this conversation with her the other day because I was
Uh-huh.
saying like I don't really remember. I ended up opening up to my mom the other day. It was great.
Oh.
Lovely. And one of the things she said, it was like, you were so fucking stubborn, and wait, how long have we been recording?
I don't know. All I know is that 1,976 is if every minute was 4 seconds. So,
Holy,
which is not a lot of minutes.
I don't know. I don't know what
I
you
don't-
just said, but that looks like a big number.
No. So imagine if every minute was only 4 seconds long instead of 60. It goes by beats.
I don't understand, Alex.
And neither do I. I just know that it's only like 30 minutes or
Anyway,
something.
I forgot what I was saying.
It's definitely not. It's probably.
What was I
don't know.
saying?
You're
Shit. Can we go back and
food?
listen?
No, food. You're talking about. We're talking about food.
Yeah. Oh, I was stubborn.
Okay,
I was
yes,
very
yes.
stubborn, but I was
Nice.
also very shy. I don't know how that even relates to what we were saying, but like, yeah, I was a very stubborn girl, and
No, yeah. I mean, I was stubborn. Not. I was. Well. I feel like I just had a lot more sass. Yeah, as a kid.
you definitely haven't lost that.
Huh.
It's a good quality. I would say it's
Yeah.
not so much sass as in like snappy attitude, as in like
I'm gonna talk back just real quick.
no, it's not so much sass, but like character. You know, like a
Okay,
little bit of
thank you.
spice in your food.
Like, let's put a little bit of salt on this food.
Yeah, some seasoning. Sure.
A little tapatio, a little bit of tahini.
So death, ghosts. We were talking about that, which I
That
do
was a
want to
while
talk
ago.
about. Yeah.
Well, hold on. I still want to wrap something up a little
All
bit.
right. All right. Keep going.
But I forgot what it was. This happens to me all the time where I
No, it's fine.
I
It
can
happens to
always
me all
tell
the time.
when I wanted to say something in a conversation, but it's moved past that. I
No,
just have
go
a little
back. Go back. It's fine.
I can't remember.
We're all.
I'm-
This has been a
I'm-
mess the entire time,
I'm
so it's fine.
filibustering right now. I'm trying to remember as I talk.
Okay. Let's go through it. How far back?
Okay, so we're talking about
Like 2 minutes.
dude, I don't know how time is right now. I'm in a soundproof room. We were talking about picky eating because
Yes.
of the food, and it's like I am grateful.
Mhm.
I was thinking about how
Tacos.
from Dollar Tree. I mean, not Dollar Tree. From Jack in the Box. Jack in the
Right,
Box
right.
was amazing, very cheap.
Mhm.
But not
Death.
because of hold on.
Family.
Family. Oh,
Trying to trigger something in you.
Is keep going down that line. We talked
Family.
about family.
Yeah.
And then,
We're the same.
Okay, past that.
Okay. I'm trying to like rewind.
Yeah, it's hard. Rewind starting at the beginning.
You
then
remember
going
those little
forward.
video cassette things that like when you pressed it, it would like have the movie go all the way backwards to the
VHS?
yeah.
Dude, that's what I have Aladdin 1, 2, and 3 on full circle. Yes.
But you know what I'm talking about? Those little things like you put it in a case and you close it and it would snap shut and then it would go and it would scoot it all the way
Whoa.
back to the
You
beginning.
had a machine to do it. You
Yeah.
didn't okay. What I did is I pressed stop on the VHS
And then you
machine.
just hit backwards.
hit
There was
rewind.
machines that you would put the cassette in
Mhm.
or the videotape and you would just press a button and it would like rewind the tape.
Interesting.
Family.
family. I think I just wanted to say something about how like my mom wouldn't lie about that grass thing. Something after that,
Grass, yeah. You were
Yeah.
talking about your mom, and then I might have cut you off.
maybe.
Highly likely that
Highly
I did.
likely.
Yeah.
It was me. One-upmanship. No.
Yeah, you were
no.
one-upping me with the grass story.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Don't
that
be
was
sorry. Character? No, that was recent.
yeah, too recent. Keep going back.
So the grass, and then
My grandma, my parents, my family, death.
your sisters,
Cancer.
with your mom, and then a thing. I know that was a super long time ago.
Not that
This
long.
is okay. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
We gotta move on.
We can move on.
Let's move on.
Ghosts. We were
Ghosts.
talking about
We were
ghosts.
talking about death and stuff.
You were saying, I forgot what it was, but you were talking about like how you don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
Or what was it? Religion. Your mom. Okay, it's coming back to me now.
To you, okay.
Yeah, because I remember I was gonna say something too. Now we're back on track of trying to rewind our minds again.
I feel like religion was a long time ago.
It was. It was before the grandma talk.
Yeah. That's too far.
But we didn't really touch on it. We just started going off tangent.
Oh, you want to talk about religion? You want to?
Yeah.
All right.
Spirits, ghosts.
Spirits, ghosts. One thing I do really appreciate about Christianity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
How they call him the forgotten God, the Holy Ghost, because like people are like, I love God and Jesus, and it's like, what about you're gonna mention the third one or what? Because the third one is the idea that not like God is in all of us, not like God's consciousness is in all of us, but like we are all holy, right? The holy, all of us have a Holy Spirit.
Interesting.
A Holy Spirit, which is the Holy Spirit
Within us?
Within us. Like that idea represents like we're all connected. We're all deserving of respect. Like we're all like do unto others as you would do yourself because you are a God.
Sure.
Right?
Okay, serious moral question. Does that apply to rapists or murderers?
You see, like that's.
Doesn't that fuck you up though?
Oh, man, it was like, dude, I was steamrolling on like this utopia train, and you just gotta come at me with like this.
Just bam.
What about Hitler?
Just like got hit by an 18-wheeler. Oh fuck. My bad, y'all.
Jeez, man.
I mean, you don't have to answer that, but
I mean, I really want to know. I'm gonna put that in another black box.
Yeah.
Which is something I still never finished saying.
Okay, but we're on the talk of souls and spirits.
Yeah, fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, Christianity for me, I don't know. I can't get along with any religion. I genuinely think that.
I mean, there's a couple things for me, but what does it for you for Christianity that's just like...
I think the whole concept that there's a right and wrong way.
Of what?
Living.
Like... How?
The idea of, like, sin and, like, commandments and...
Like, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. You're just like, bro, let me covet.
No. Not to an extent. Like, obviously these things are bad.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily agree with, like...
Setting? Sorry, I'm trying to...
I don't know how to explain this properly. The reason why I've never really liked religions or, like, ever felt prescribed to one is because, like, I feel like generally my moral code isn't that off from religion in general.
Yeah, I mean, most religions are like, hey, like, not be a dick.
Right, but I also feel like, and this might just be because I'm getting, like, a entirely one-sided perspective of, like, how people are treating other people.
Yeah, I mean, we are only one person, so we do really have one perspective. Imagining others is...
Trying to burp. My bad, guys.
No, you really...
I don't want to burp into the mic. It's rude. Stop it,
I
Alex.
did it.
Okay, anyway. As I was saying, I just, like... I talked to my sisters about this, and it's, like, for me, I just cannot get along with the idea that in order to, be considered, like, in the right with God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit, you have to act a certain way.
Well, if there's one thing I remember specifically from church and the Bible and stuff is that the only thing you have to do to get into heaven is believe in Jesus Christ.
I don't agree with that.
What's wrong with believing in Jesus?
I just don't.
Like that he existed? Or like,
No, like
because I think that's it.
but
Like, as
that's
long as you're like, yo, Jesus walked this earth and he's the son of God, and it's like,
but that's
it.
the thing.
What?
Like I this is what
Like, what
my
if
mom
Jesus
meant
is
by like I'm very stubborn.
okay?
I don't like when people have to tell me that I need to do something in order to achieve this.
But what?
That
Okay, what
sounds insane logically. It's like
yeah.
that's stupid, Natalie. Like literally all you have to do is believe. And it's like
To me, it's kind of like,
Hold
in
on.
order to send this email, you gotta hit send, and you're like,
Whoa,
bro,
whoa,
don't
whoa,
fucking
hold on,
tell me
hold
to
on.
hit.
But the thing is about that.
Yeah.
It's not so much about oh fuck, I just had it. It's not about the go back to the logical part. What was the logical part?
Where it's like, why, like, when
I don't feel it. And I think that's the difference between me and like most people. I'm a very like emotionally in tune person in terms of like soul,
so when you don't
spirit.
click with it,
Exactly. I do not feel that like it's I can always say I believe in Jesus. If I feel like I do not believe in Jesus, then I do not believe in Jesus. I don't want to say that I do just because I can get into heaven if I do.
I mean, I don't think God is just listening to like the audio waves. I mean, if God's all powerful, we can
But
probably read your mind. So like, you're already like, if God is I like to believe there's a bunch of different gods, and whichever one you believe in, you go to that version of the afterlife. But so on God's book, you're like, yeah, you don't have to say like, there's a movie real quick, called like The Rapture or something, and basically it's like, you know what the Rapture is? Okay, so
is that like
when Jesus comes back
like,
and there's 7 years of war between heaven and hell, yeah, this is Revelations, the last book in the Bible.
Never read it.
It's
I've read bits and pieces so that I could do my first communion, but that's about it.
Basically, like, you know, when that shit happens, like, basically all the good people on Earth are just gonna like teleport up to like heaven, because it's like they don't need to be on Earth for all this war stuff. But all the people who like aren't going to heaven, they're just gonna like stay on Earth while all like this hell and war stuff happens. And in the movie, like these people who are left, like, who didn't get like sent to heaven, right, for like the rapture, they walk into a church and there's like a pastor there, right, and they're like, bro, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I said the words, man, but I didn't believe it. You know, so it's like, it's not like
But that's what I'm saying.
Like you wouldn't, like, I don't think you, like, if you're like, man, okay, I do want to get into heaven, I believe in Jesus,
But the
like,
thing
you wouldn't
is
go to
like,
heaven
I
because you
don't
don't believe in Jesus. So
the
you're
thing
good.
is,
You don't need to worry.
I don't. Fuck! I just had it. Fuck! It was like I don't like decisions being forced on me. If that makes sense, and that's how I felt religion was for me. Like I didn't really have a choice in it.
Maybe this would help clear it up for me. Explain what you would prefer.
Oh, lovely question. Because I can answer that.
Right. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's definitely a lot more abstract. It's more of like the agnostic route where it's like there's something out there. I don't know what it is. I don't want to put a name on it, but it exists. And for me, I like to think that like according to there's a bunch of different things, different pieces that kind of go along with this thing. But for me, there's something out there, obviously. And I think when you die, that, like, your soul needs time to repair, so you rest for a little bit, and then you come back, and then, like, all the people in your family who have passed on kind of, like, look after you and take care of you, make sure you're doing all good.
After you pass away?
After they pass away. So, like, my abuelita, for example. She looks after me. She takes care of me, make sure that I'm doing all right.
Oh,
Does
so
that
they
make
stay
sense?
on heaven. Oh, they stay on Earth.
No, there is no. I don't know what is.
They stay here.
Sure,
Until
I mean, they're
make sure
somewhere.
you're good.
I don't know where. I can't say where. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's not like if.
Like, I can't define that. But
Yeah.
all I know is that they're around.
Yeah.
Do I know where? No.
Yeah.
Do
so
I know
when I
how?
say here,
No.
I don't mean physically here. I don't mean spiritually here. I don't. I mean, well, maybe spiritual.
Right.
Like, when I say here, it's like here. Like, when you feel the presence of one of, like, for example, if you feel the presence of one of your ancestors, right? An ancestor could literally be like your mom, so not like super weird stuff. But like they're here. Like you can say like, oh, I feel them here, right?
Right.
Like so when I say here, I mean it like that. And so
And so one of the things that makes sense to me,
mhm,
because my dad, he's very like spiritual, I
Okay.
would say,
Yeah.
and that's where probably I would lie, to be
just
honest. And
spiritual, yeah, not religious but spiritual.
right, and one of the things that he kind of explained to me
Hmm.
is that from his understanding of like the world, death, etc.,
Hmm.
is that when you die, your soul needs time to repair from being inside a human body for so long.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
there's that. And so it can take sometimes like a year or 2 years, etc. And then they come back. And
Wait, they
your soul needs to
recover,
rest, right?
and then they come back.
Yes.
So
and the
wait,
form
after they recover, do they leave and then come back? Where do they come back? Keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And so one of the things he would tell me is that
Hmm.
they either have a choice whether or not to kind of live a new life, be born into something else.
Like reincarnation.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Or they can stay around for a little while, make sure that their family is okay. So that, and for me, that makes sense. And I'll say this because me personally, I've had a lot of dreams where they've come to me and talked to me. And one
Mhm.
of the things that my dad mentioned was I had this dream about my abuelita where I was in like Target, whatever, and I saw her in the aisle, like a hair aisle. And I was like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be you're not here. Like you're
Yeah.
dead." And she was like, I'm here to make sure you're okay. I was like, "What are you talking?" She's like, "Don't worry, you're gonna be okay." And I was like, "All right, cool."
That would freak me the fuck
Yeah.
out. I'm sorry.
And then
Did
I
it-
woke up and I was like, "Yo, what the?"
Then you freaked out.
Yeah,
You're like,
and
okay, from what?
and I told my dad, and he was like, "Well, okay, was she speaking English?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "My abuelita never spoke English. She didn't know how." And one of the things he mentioned is that like once you kind of come out of your slumber per se,
Die.
you kind of lose those constraints that you had as a human.
Yeah.
So the way that you communicate is not the same.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder for souls to communicate with humans. That's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's not real. That doesn't exist."
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of the times they can't or they don't know how to. A lot of the other thing is like soul or like ghosts,
Mhm.
like haunted places. That's a lot of the times the reason why they're there is because they don't know how to find their way. They don't know how to find their way to rest. And
Mm.
so they're agitated.
So I mean, let's say they're rested, like you don't know where they go after they're like
have no
I'm
idea.
chilling, like I'm good, like everything checks out. I'm a punch out of the
Yeah.
astral plane, go somewhere.
Sure.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I've also had dreams. Sorry, 1 second. My ear's itchy. I've also had dreams where like my grandpa's come talk to me, and I'm like, there's one specifically where he was in like my grandma's house, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Like you're dead." And he was like, "Oh, I just come around the holidays most of the time. Just make sure you guys are okay." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then I wake up and I'm like, "Yo,
Yo,
what the
grandpa.
fuck?" And my
Yeah.
grandma told me that one time she saw him, like when he passed away, she saw him like at the end of the hallway, and he asked her to join him, which is insane.
Wait, your
Grandma,
grandma said
Mhm.
when she passed away?
he passed
When
away.
he passed away,
She saw him
in a
at the-
dream.
No,
Where?
at the end
At
of
the end
a
of a hallway.
yeah,
And said to join him?
yeah, crazy, huh?
That okay, I mean that doesn't seem good intentioned.
No. Like he missed her. In the sense of like
I mean, one way or another, he's asking her to die,
no,
right?
no. I mean, it wasn't the way that she explains it is not like malintended.
Okay.
And
I mean,
she
sure. Yeah.
she was very much like I can tell that he wants me with him. Like he wants me to be with him.
Misses you. Yeah.
Right. And like
Yeah, I
my
mean, a lot of
dad's
brothers
have
misses.
had things where like my dad had like from a young age been able to like kind of have that sixth sense, and he
Mhm.
mentioned that like when one of the family members passed away, it was like one of the first family members to pass away when he was young, and he felt that it happened. And before
What
like
happened?
and this is before electronics and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
The only way you can communicate with like extended family from like in a different state is through the phone. But
Yeah.
he knew she passed away
Uh-huh.
before they called and said, like, hey, so-and-so has passed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so there was that, and then he also, like, has been able to see, there was one time, I don't know, there was a bunch of people over, and he was able to see, like, their energy, like, their auras,
Mm.
and stuff like that. And so, like, I guess kind of growing up around it, like, this stuff just makes sense to me. I was telling you the other day how, like, my grandma's financial advisor was like, yo, do you think you're
Your
gonna
grandma
see...
had a financial advisor?
Yeah.
Bro, one taco my ass.
Yeah.
One
No,
taco.
different grandmas. I always
Oh.
refer to my grandma, my dad's mom, as my
I
grandma,
noticed that, yeah.
and my abuelita as my mom's side.
Okay.
So Mexican, white, you know?
Oh, you're mixed?
Yeah.
That,
Mixed.
yeah, that felt weird to say that.
You're mixed?
Yeah,
No,
because it
don't.
makes it feel like something else is pure.
Oh. Well, when you put it like that, yeah,
yeah.
that is a little weird.
Yeah.
Just say, like, biracial. That's what I usually say.
That's a mouthful. I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna
I usually say
I
I'm
didn't know
mixed.
that. I'm just gonna say that.
I
Yeah, that
can
was
hear that.
loud.
I can definitely
Yeah.
hear that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We have drinks. We do not have drinks with us. We are just casually
We are drinking
sipping
the
on air.
Spirit of the Lord.
Exactly. Also known as wine in most churches.
Oh man.
What is
fuck
that?
That was my phone. Oh man, this audio quality content, man.
I mean, I put mine on silent.
I always have mine on silent, except
Right.
for recently.
Of course. Anyway, so yeah, and then I was talking about my dad, wasn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, so he like has these. No, I was talking about something else before this. Mixed, biracial. My grandma, financial advisor. Yes. So my grandma is my white side of the family. My abuelita is my Mexican side. That's how I
Okay.
differentiate
Yeah.
them. So my grandma, her financial advisor person, whatever, was like, "Do you think you're gonna see your husband when you die?" She was like, "Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I?"
Yeah.
And that was the end of the conversation. They had to leave.
But
And so she came
yeah.
to me after, and she was like, "Do you think this is weird?" And she was like, I was like, she asked me the same thing, and I was like, "Well, yeah. What
Well,
do you mean?"
like, does she think it's weird that it's like, yo, this person says like
It's odd.
people might think there's not an afterlife?
Right.
Yeah, like that was the weird part. Of
Yes.
like, yeah. Like,
Sorry,
what
I'm
was she
burping
could like?
again.
I just want to know, like, because, like, I've, like, as religious as my mom is, she also is. She loves science,
Mhm.
right? And like she's surrounded me with science, and when you're surrounded with science, you're typically, I wouldn't say surrounded by atheists, but you're surrounded by people of like, yo, here's some like facts, and if like science is about proving stuff and not necessarily
More concrete.
yeah,
Yes,
it's like concrete
sure.
stuff, and so like you like I did like come up with like around a lot of like not atheism, but like just the like people
Fundamental.
yeah, you know,
correct thing. Sure, whatever.
you know, so like so I kind of grew up in the opposite way where it was kind of like it's like on one side it was like yeah, there's like religion and there's like a thing,
Mhm.
but then like on the other side there's gonna be like this like nothing like when you die.
Right.
And so for me, I was always trying to prove to myself like wait, logic, science say you die, you just like nothingness, right?
That doesn't. I don't think that's true.
Right. And
At
so
all.
so for me,
That's like
it's-
mind-boggling to me that people are like, "That's it, lights out." Like, no. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? No.
for me, I'm gonna say this. This isn't
Go
personal,
for it.
but it's like maybe you just can't imagine that thing the same way a blind person can imagine a color, right? Or
Mhm.
someone who lacks an amygdala and cannot feel fear cannot imagine what fear is.
That's
right?
possible.
Yeah, there are
Damn, I
some
wish
people.
I had that.
Except if you raise the carbon dioxide levels in their blood, then they do feel fear, which is the only thing that's
Interesting.
universal across humans, which is pretty nuts. But anywho, there are some people who also have a brain condition which makes them immune to pain.
Oh yeah, I know that.
There's only 7 of them
Holy
who have an
shit.
actual condition. Other people might just be like very tolerant, but like these people could actually die if like they leave their hand on a stove. You know?
Right, right. Does
How
that,
they could imagine
quick
pain.
question? Does that mean that they can't feel pain when they die?
I don't know. Do people feel pain when they die? Depends how you die. If it's pretty instantaneous, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you were
Anyway,
to chop them up by
continue.
the feet like on a wood chipper, like they'd be like,
That's awful.
I suddenly feel not things, right? Which is kind of, you can imagine that it's like, it's hard to imagine what nothingness is like because we've always been something, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, it's like, one thing I always hear is like, you ever have like a dreamless sleep?
Yeah.
You like you just don't remember?
Yeah.
That's what death is. Death is like that.
But
That's
yeah,
nothing.
that's hard.
Right? It's
That's
like-
so hard.
And it's like, what, you know, it's like, what was life like before you, like, before
But
you were born?
Here's the
right?
thing.
Uh-huh.
The reason why for me it feels more concrete is because I had things happen where I'm
yeah,
like,
you feel
this
more
makes more
spiritually attached.
sense
Yeah.
than like this.
Yeah.
It's not so much that
Ooh, can I?
Yeah,
like,
go
for
for it.
you, it feels like there's more. You've had
Validity?
more examples
Right.
of like the afterlife than you've had examples of like
nothing.
just nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, which is perception, and that's how we define
right,
what
right,
are
right,
things.
right.
Yeah. So.
But yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask.
Mhm.
Did your grandma say like what else would there be other than an afterlife? And did you have to say like some people think there's nothing, and she'd be like what, and then you had to be like,
No, I think we both for us it's more instantaneous the answer versus like we know that other people like might not
might not feel the spirit.
right. It's more of the sense of like we had to remind ourselves that like, oh, this is also like a very questionable thing for people to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And for us it's a lot more concrete because it's like us three who have felt these things and we're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is true. And
Yeah.
then we walk out into the world and we're like, oh wait, fuck, a lot of people don't.
It's like a culture shock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But yeah, my dad has told me some crazy stories.
Yeah.
I think you guys would get along. You guys would talk
Me and
all
your
the time.
dad?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's like I'm always down to. I mean, your thing of me in the very beginning of today's episode,
Mhm.
where you're like you're very open minded, but you have a very like
Concrete way of
concrete
living.
way of
Yeah,
living.
sure.
Concrete way of living sounds weird to me, but how it's like, hey man, I know I don't know. Like to me, like I am personally, like I know I don't know everything.
Mhm.
So I'm open to everything.
Right.
Right. I had another thing I wanted to say, but I'm gonna say this instead.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, like I remember telling you about it, but go ahead and be a sandbag for a little bit. Do you know what that is? Not physically.
Okay.
Sandbag is kind of like when two people know a subject, but then I ask you questions and you pretend not to know.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm dumb, basically. What I do on a daily basis. Yeah.
So, but I'm asking you sandbag because I already told you about.
Yeah, go for it.
Of the chi, what chi is.
I mean, this is perfect because I forgot exactly what you were telling me.
Okay, so
what is chi, Alex? Tell me.
I'm gonna sound like I wonder how this sounds to like other people when they're like, man, this Alex guy, like he's the one who's like the science and she's like the spirit. And then all of a sudden I bring up chi and it's like, dude, like what an idiot. And even right now I'm probably saying like, no, but it is a science, and I'm like, no.
No, you feel like people are gonna discredit you because you.
Yeah, like I seemed legit until this point.
That's the other thing that
Okay,
I forgot to mention.
Don't let me forget this part, but go ahead.
Okay, chi. Just
Chi.
remember that. Yeah, my dad like hates talking about it to other people because he's afraid people are gonna think he's insane. And I've
Yeah.
always felt the same way. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to talk
Which is
about
like-
this shit because like people are just gonna look at me like I'm insane, and it's like,
And I love discussion like this too, because it always sucks. Like I feel like we're both very open-minded people, but
Mhm.
sometimes like you do have to be aware of like people who aren't
yeah, who are like, you're fucking
who are the
dumb,
majority.
right?
Because sometimes it's like, I bet somebody who believes in Scientology doesn't want to speak up for the same reasons. Doesn't mean your guys' beliefs are as not credible.
I
right?
mean-
I think yours is a lot more credible versus someone who thinks that Zulu's up there in the comment and you need to drink some space juice to get up there, which
Right.
is die.
I mean, the thing about
Yeah.
Scientology though, because I was like, I was
No, rabbit hole.
hold on,
Damn.
just a little bit into the hole.
Okay.
This is a bad phrase to use. But
You're destroying this mic.
I'm so sorry.
Hold on. Give us a second. Just 1 second.
1 second.
There. I think
Okay.
that's better.
That's the thing about Scientology, because I was watching, what is it, like Joe Rogan and Leah Remini. They had like they did a podcast together
Okay.
about it, and she was saying that like basically they just end up making up shit and so that people can pay for it, and it's like,
Yeah.
for me, I can be like I can question that practice just because it's like, if you're like taking advantage of other people
Yeah.
for monetary gain, that's when I'm like, okay, you deserve to like fuck you
Yeah.
for that.
Hey,
That's not right.
Hey, man. F you.
You have to like say it, like mouth it.
Yeah,
Sorry, we're
I
talking
know.
about
I did it.
Yeah.
Or not now, but earlier, as a kid.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Anyway, so you're saying chi.
Yes. Yeah. Man, I want to keep talking about Scientology.
Yeah.
Nothing.
This is a problem. Whenever we start talking to each other, we just end up like,
There's so many things to
well,
talk about.
yeah.
It's not even like we're running out of time. It's just like our brains are.
Shit, it's 4 o'clock. How
Yeah.
that we've been at this for like 2 hours almost.
Yeah, probably. It's gonna be good content.
Woo!
Woo, 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 woo.
We're gonna have to make a part 2. That's what that means. Mm.
No. That was just like a. Yep, but let me get talk.
Yeah,
about the
chi.
thing.
Go with
Chi.
your chi.
So, I believe. Man, I breathed right into that mic. I'm
No,
sorry.
keep
I don't know
doing
why
it.
I'm avoiding.
I hope you guys like my breathiness.
I'm sorry.
Do some ASMR.
Stop. I think that's genuine.
I hate
if I
it.
was listening
I
to
hate
that
it.
on my headphones, I would take them off.
I would literally like
Then
try
why
to
did you
pretend
do
to.
it?
I would throw me across the room if I heard this shit. I hate ASMR. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'll pull this away so that you guys don't have to hear my shitty ass voice. Okay, go.
Well, the ASMR voice, as long as he. Okay, so, I'm out here living my life like, bro, it's just science and like that's
Yeah.
it, right? And then I'm with my friends. I'm with a friend and his siblings. I'm with my friend and his brother and his mom. And I went with them because I wanted to hang out with my friend more. And my friend was going to see his mom's friend, who
Worked as
he's not a CIA agent, but he was like a computer dude for like the government, right?
Interesting.
And for like
what government? Like what
this government.
sector?
I don't know. And maybe I do know, but I don't want to
Defense
say because
Department?
I'm probably wrong. No, I think CIA.
CIA, NSA?
I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the A's. NASA, something. Nah, not NASA. But he worked for like government, right? And like he like his job was to work at like a front for a while he did like some spy stuff, right?
Cool. I
yeah.
want to meet this guy.
Right. And the funny thing is he looks like John.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, that John looks like my dad. So it's always it's like a
Sorry
mind
for
fuck
those
to
at
me.
home.
Yeah.
He's just like a large fella. Like
Yeah, same.
I
My
think-
dad.
I'm gonna say overweight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, he doesn't look unhealthy,
Yeah.
but
He rides motorcycles. He's active.
I don't know what your dad looks like. I was
No.
talking about
I'm
John.
talking about John.
John rides motorcycles?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Sorry for those at home.
Yeah. My bad about this work talk. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Anywho, right. So like we go and like my friend wanted to talk with him about computer science and like getting like what if he majored in that major. Like
Yeah.
like what's it like to live that life? Like I'm gonna talk to someone who's lived it and maybe see if I match along with it, right? And so I'm just kind of sitting in and I'll ask some questions every now and then, and I ask him about like he tells me about how it's like, dude, proxies, bullshit, dude. You know what a
Proxies.
proxy is?
Yes, but
No.
like
Oh,
in what
because you have like
context?
NordVPN, right?
Yeah.
So like they set up like different kinds of like layers, right? It's like if someone would try to track your IP, it's like you're in Beijing and then you're in Canada and then you're in Tokyo and then you're in there. And he's like, dude, we have sniffers. We can just sniff you out. If there's anything you would need to do is you get a private VPN, which is like what you have, which is like which is kind of like instead of you being, I think this is how it works, of being tracked to a specific like location on
Yeah,
Earth,
it tracks
it's
me
just-
to like San Francisco or like a general city
right. Like I think
or
it's
like
like
Switzerland.
it's
if
kind of
I'm
like the
being
cloud
creative.
kind of
Yeah.
thing where it's
I don't
like
know what that is.
the like Google
I know,
Cloud.
but like
What? Okay, I'm gonna keep going with this.
Yeah,
I'm
keep
gonna leave
going.
that.
Just ignore
I'm gonna
my.
let that door be closed.
You're right. Just let me.
and for the sake of this story.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, and so like they talk about stuff, and I ask them questions, right? But it's mainly about like my friend,
Mhm.
and then somehow the conversation gets into Chifu. Chifu.
Yeah. I tried Googling it.
Right, and we got like that.
Nothing.
Yeah, and apparently if you look up like kung fu, it doesn't even come out as like time and practice.
I don't
or it
know.
doesn't come out
All
as
I
anything.
remember is that like when I ended up Googling it like later on, like I couldn't find
yeah.
anything of what you were talking about.
Like even after we stopped hanging out, or like because I remember we Googled it.
We Googled it initially
Yeah.
when we were first talking.
Yeah.
But then like when I was at home, I was like, oh, I want to learn about chi, and I tried Googling it. Nothing. So I don't know. Maybe he just made up some shit, and now you're following it.
No.
It's a new Scientology way.
I have books on it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an actual
I'd love to
thing.
read them,
like
then.
you know, like I think chakras is Naruto, but you know, like the thing.
I know what chakras are.
Okay, so it's like the dot. Like there's one above your head, and there's
Right,
like another
right,
one here, another one there. It's that same stuff.
Yeah.
So chi is the energy that is like
interesting.
chakra. Right, except not really. I think they're different. I think they might even be from like different places on Earth, like the ideologies. But like we started getting into it, and I was like, "What's this thing?" Like I know what kung fu is. It means time and practice, right? And it's like, well, like chi fu is like the study of chi, right? And it's like when you think of what's that tai chi, right? It's a martial art, right? But it's really slow because you're supposed to use your chi. Right, which is your energy. I saw somebody.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what chi is. It's like your.
I do that when I meditate.
You use your chi.
No, but I just like try to. I have this. I do this thing sometimes. Sorry, rabbit hole again. But like,
I'm saving a checkpoint in my mind. Keep going.
Where like I kind of. When I'm meditating, I can close my eyes and kind of like imagine like slowly or like sensing your body. Yeah, or like because when I do Pilates, like the Pilates class that I have, she's like, okay, now sense your like sacrum or whatever the fuck, and you have to like physically imagine what that would feel like. Yeah, because you can't imagine like certain organs because you don't have nerves in those things. Yeah, so you have to like sense it.
What if our inner organs itched?
Dude, the thing that fucks me up is like
no. Close the
Never
door.
mind. Sorry, just this quick thing because I have like a bug bite on my leg,
right now.
and I could have sworn that it was under, and so like under my skin, like the itch itch was under my skin. So I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to itch that if it's under? Anyway,
sometimes I get that too, where it's like I feel an itch. I feel like it's above my skin. Like I feel like an itch on my arm, but like I'll itch in that area, like the entire area, and it's like
nothing.
It's still itchy,
you're itching nothing,
but I can't even locate where it is.
You know what's also crazy?
Hold on, this. Oh man, fuck it. I'm gonna go back to death. I'm gonna close the door on Chi for a little bit. I'm gonna open up the death thing. There's also something I wanted to say about death, which is kind of like the whole like imagine not even nothing. Imagine nothingness.
Nothing.
It's like so sometimes amputees can still feel their limbs.
Phantom
once
leg,
gone,
yeah.
Right?
Phantom whatever.
That's easy for us to understand because we know what it's like to have a limb. But for them,
it's a mind fuck.
No. Well, yes, but that's not what I'm going at. It's like imagine if your hand was cut off and you aren't feeling the phantom pains, you'd feel less, right? You have less feeling as a human. Right. Right. Your expansiveness of what you know is you, some of it is gone, right? Now imagine you lose an arm, right? Now imagine you lose a leg. Death is like, how does your leg feel right now when you don't have one? Right? It's like dividing by zero. It's not a question. Like, it's not like a...
I have to think about that for a second.
It's so hard. It's so hard to do. It's insane. And that's this is one thing... Yep, I'm keeping the chi door closed because I wanted to bring this up. Sorry, I'm going to steamroll you right now.
Go for it.
In the very beginning of this episode, I wanted to talk about how I put things in the black box. Right? I said I signed a variable to it.
We're back
it's like I don't understand.
Coming full circle now, folks.
how like there are some things I don't understand. I fake it till I make it, right?
Right.
So it's like some things I put in a black box, like how to get that small. Like I know what goes in the box, I know what comes out of it. What goes in the box is like make it smaller, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I can zoom in like a little bit on the head of a needle, right? And then it's
Sure.
like black box until you get to atoms, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I can understand, like you're telling me it gets smaller. Okay, I don't know how much smaller. It's like, humans can't imagine that.
So
Or how big the universe is, right?
okay.
Like how many galaxies there are, like it's unfathomable, and how
Can
big
I
they are.
can I
It's
give an
unfathomable.
analogy?
No, I'm steamrolling you.
Okay. Go for it.
So like that black box, like one of the things I put in it is like,
Mhm.
what would nothing feel like? And one of the other things I do like to feel like. So here's the two sides of my religion and death thing,
Yeah.
right? So one is death could be like if you're missing a limb, how does it feel? That question doesn't make any sense. Like it's like kind of like asking like, what does it feel like when you're dead? It's like, what does it feel like when you're asleep and you don't remember? What does it feel like before you were born, right? All those questions follow the
Mhm.
same sort of like logic error, right?
Right.
But sometimes it's like if people can feel phantom pain, right,
Mhm.
in something that's not there, who's to say I can't? If that like that brain path fires of like here is limit of body, right? Like imagine code.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
No.
I guess you don't. Yeah, you gotta learn to code. It's an entirely
Coding
different.
workshop. I'm telling you, we need it.
I've been doing it because I have to for class, and I think differently.
What? Coding?
Yeah, code makes you think different because it makes you think very syntactically of like because code has a very strict language, right? Our
Mhm.
language has a lot of ambiguity, which gives it a lot of power,
Right.
right? But code is very like if you don't do like literally everything right,
Precise.
it like yeah, like if you put an extra equal sign, which to us might be the word vary, right? But in code it means like to assign both things to be what one of them is, right? But if there's just one equal sign, then it means make this thing that thing, right? Which is like different, and you have to like think about it, and it's like weird, right?
Mhm.
Back
Code.
to death,
black
right?
box,
So if
death.
it's like this is where my limb ends, right? Your body
Mhm.
is like I still feel this hand,
Right.
which and our brain is saying that only because we remember that that's where it is, right?
Mhm.
We have memories of our hand. If we didn't have memories of our hand and then we didn't have one, it'd be like nothing was wrong, right? I
Hmm.
think. So, but like imagine if you could feel more than your hand,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like, well, how far does that go? Sometimes if I'm like standing and I drop something, I can use my feet to tell where it fell. Do you know
wanna
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Actually.
So no, I'm steamrolling
Like,
you.
okay, I'm coming up with a lot of stuff up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna let
So
you
just-
go. I'm gonna let you go after this.
All right.
Um,
But I'm gonna forget it, so we're just gonna have to keep.
dude, the door is still closed on Chi right now, but that one can die.
We just need to. We really need to just have a continuation episode so we can like address all the things we.
I listened to it. And I put a time mark for every asterisk and to make it a bullet point for the next
Please
podcast.
do that. Please do that.
Listen,
Okay.
I'll listen to this on the bus.
Actually, wait. Can I add
yeah.
something? Because it
Go ahead.
directly associates to what you're saying.
Mhm.
Sometimes when I'm meditating and I close my eyes, I don't actually feel my body.
No, yeah.
I
I think that's supposed to happen. Yeah.
no. So I can also visualize myself
Mhm.
getting stretched
Yeah.
lengthwise and widthwise.
You
Sometimes
feel like everything because you can't feel anything else.
exactly.
Like you
When
are
I close
the
my
universe.
eyes, I can like
Uh-huh.
I'm not constrained to what my limitations as a human.
Yeah.
That sounds odd, but
Yeah, it's not powerful. You don't feel powerful, but
Right.
you
feel-
physically the sensation of feel more.
right.
Yeah.
And one of the things, because I remember I was telling you about the crazy shit that happens to me when I sleep, and one of them was like, I felt my body, but I wasn't inside my body.
Right. Yeah, like you had like an astral projection.
Yeah.
But you could still feel the things that are happening
Yep.
to your body. Yeah. Yeah.
Craziness.
I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, go
after what
for
you
it.
said.
I
You know
love
what?
rabbit holes.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck me. And
Yeah.
this not sticking to rabbit holes thing.
Let's
rabbit
go to
hole it
fucking
up.
Wonderland, all right?
It's Wonderland. So
Astral projection.
astral projection? No.
Rabbit hole.
No.
Screw you.
Well, yes, but no. Before that.
I don't.
Oh, feeling, touch. Mm.
No. You were when your body, how you can feel like with your foot.
After that, sensory deprivation. Have you ever heard about sensory deprivation
Yeah,
tank?
that sounds awful.
I mean, that's kind of like meditating.
I don't like that though, cause you're in the dark.
Do you meditate in the light?
Yeah. No, here's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad always told me you never meditate after 10 or 9 p.m.
Okay.
I don't know why.
You should ask him.
Cause he had. This is the other thing. Like my
Mhm.
dad has crazy stories. One of them was that he had like this doctor who was also what do you call him? A shaman.
Whoa.
So he got like a lot of advice from him about like different things. One of the things that he always told him is don't meditate after 9 p.m. I don't know why, but I don't do it after 9.
I try to do it in
The other
the morning,
thing
but I
is
fall asleep.
no. Well, I sometimes it's just during the day,
Yeah.
but one of the things is what was it? I can't. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm terrified. I cannot like
Of what?
everything. Like it's gotten
It's
better.
not like you weren't you weren't terrified in a dream and you wake up terrified of something that happened in a dream. You wake up in the middle of the night and you're terrified of
My room, like the darkness. I think it was mostly associated before when I didn't really have any understanding of what was going on with me. And I was hearing like all this shit before I was falling asleep, and then I would wake up in the middle of the night terrified because I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna hear some shit I don't want to hear. And then, but I mean, it was interesting because last night I would always have to have the TV on while I sleep. And last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like
it's comforting.
looking around. I was like, all right, time to go back. And it didn't bother me. So maybe I'm progressing. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I can't relate. Well, no, I can relate to sometimes when I'm falling asleep, like in class or like just I'm at my friend's house and I'm just nodding off.
Yeah.
Like I'll just hear like blood curdling screams.
Yeah, that happened to me once.
You're way too happy for that.
because somebody understands.
Yeah. But it's for those of you at home, it's not like psychosis or anything. It's
right.
Like me, you agree when you say when I told you how it's like before you fall asleep, like not only do you imagine stuff like when you dream, it's kind of like a movie. There's sight and there's sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear things in your dreams, right?
Right.
So it makes sense that like you would be seeing sort of like dream images and that you'd be hearing things. Sometimes I hear people calling my name,
right.
which is I think a lot of people hear that like a lot of the time. Even when they're not falling asleep, some
right.
people like I swear like sometimes they'll like
me
be in
like
a
all
place
the time.
yeah. But it's like sometimes I hear people calling my name or like somebody's having a conversation with me and I'm just like not responding because I'm not fully asleep yet, right? I'm not in dreamland yet.
Right.
And then like, but then sometimes it's just like people like begging for their life from a monster of the unknown, right? And it's just like it's only happened like twice or so. But it's like Jesus, like what the hell?
It's weird because sometimes I more recently.
Mm-hmm. Is that a burp? Or you
yeah,
really
burp.
Need to
it's
clear
just
your
like
throat?
I don't know if I'm swallowing properly, but like
it looks like you ate something spicy.
no, like it's just like it's stuck. There's something stuck in my throat that's like not digesting.
You gotta breathe in really hard and let it out.
I hate that. Anyway, a lot of the times I would hear people talking, I would get scared and end up having to stay up the whole night because I was terrified that when I would fall asleep, I would hear people talking again. But
I mean, were they saying anything weird?
yeah. All the
Saying, like,
time.
mean stuff or like
I mean, the thing is, like, it was always like an older man and a younger girl. Like, it was never different than that. Yeah, terrifying.
yeah, that's weird.
One of them was I was telling you, there was this little girl who screamed in my ear, just fucking.
Yeah, that was like the second time.
Yeah, horrifying, and it was like in the 3 a.m. I was.
Oh no! Fuck that! Not when I'm like asleep. I
no,
don't hear anything.
I wasn't asleep. I was just on the brink of falling asleep.
See, that's your fault. You're falling asleep at 3 a.m. What are you doing?
I have no idea. Anyway, so but now I try to practice this thing because my dad is always like, if you need help, just say like, Jesus help me, protect me. That's the other thing. Like I'm not entirely against like Christianity or religion or Jesus or any of that. But I definitely think another tangent. Fuck me. Gee, so like
we it's
I haven't
yeah,
had anything concrete for Jesus. That's where I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I can't put my soul into this.
Is it like me? How it's like I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm afraid of them, and it's kind of like
Right.
you, where you're like I don't
Exactly.
believe in Jesus, but he'll
Exactly.
help me if he can.
Pinpoint it. Needle in a haystack. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
So now
I
I'm
condemn
trying.
my soul to any god that can find it. Right.
Sure.
That's what I said,
Sure.
which is also a Terry Pratchett quote.
Sure.
So
Lovely. Yeah, so now I've tried to be more like, okay, I'm fine. I'm safe. Nothing's going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've done that, I'm able to not able to, but whenever I hear voices, I'm like I try to talk back to them like, "Hey, what's up? Like what's going on?"
Oh my God, this is yeah.
Yeah,
Is
and
that it?
I've gotten responses back.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When you're half falling asleep.
Yeah.
What do they say?
I mean, I don't remember now because
Oh
it's
my
been a while.
God, what?
That's the
most
other thing. It's been
important
a
part.
while. But like one of them, I'm pretty sure one of them like said something about Deborah. I was
Do you
like,
know
"Hello."
who's Deborah?
I have no fucking idea.
I mean, I feel like that happens to me sometimes, where like when I'm hearing like the voices before I
Mhm.
fall asleep. Like sometimes they'll having conversations and they bring people up, and it's like, no, I don't know anybody. I just made them up, I guess. You know, like when you dream, sometimes you dream of characters.
Yeah,
that
let
you've
me.
never seen.
I know you're gonna get mad at me, but like I
Yeah,
have.
I am.
I always write down notes about like things that I might have heard. Let me see if I wrote it down.
Okay, while you
And
look,
while I do this,
I'm
talk.
gonna yes. So there's a thing called there's a video called The Egg, which is off of a short story called The Egg.
Mhm.
Do you know?
No, I don't
Doesn't
think
ring any
so.
bells?
Talking about the
Basically,
egg that fell off the fence.
Humpty Dumpty. You made a Humpty Dumpty reference? Wow, guys, deep cuts here all the way back to 1349. Deep cuts to Humpty Dumpty.
Oh God.
No. So the egg, basically, it starts off with like it's like you're driving down the highway,
Mhm.
right? And then you get hit by a semi truck going the opposite way. You die.
Right.
You wake up
Mhm.
and you're like, whoa, afterlife, and then like God shows up,
Mhm.
and you're like, where am I? I see nothing, and it's like, well, except for you know, you and me, and God's like, you know, like, oh, you know, like, hey, what's up? And you're like, well, okay, are you God? And he's like, yeah, and you're like, so like, what's up? And basically, the
Mhm.
story goes on to say, man, I don't want to ruin it for you because it's just like such a magical experience going through the steps. But I'm gonna go ahead and ruin it. Skip
Go for
ahead
it.
like a minute if you don't want it ruined. Look up The Egg on YouTube.
Okay.
It's like the one with the purple thumbnail. So okay, skip ahead. So basically, it's not only it's you are every person that ever existed. Just you.
Okay.
It's like your soul. It's like you get reincarnated, right? He's like, so like you ask like how like are my kids okay, right? Like after you die, and he's like, that's what I like to hear. It's like, yeah, the kids are fine. They were too young for them to really like not like miss, like of course they miss you, but you know it's not really gonna like, you know, when they grow up they're gonna be like, yeah, my dad died.
Mhm.
Your wife, she was kind of unhappy in the relationship, so she feels guilty for being relieved that you're gone. You know, and you're like, cool. Like, what happens next? And it's like you're gonna be a Chinese girl in 14 AD, and you're gonna be like, what? I'm going back in time? And you're like, yeah. And he's like, oh, so the Hindus are right. And God's
Mhm.
like, yeah. I mean, kind of, yeah. And you're like, what's up? And they're like, and so then you ask like, if I can go back in time, could that mean I have a conversation with somebody that already that was me? And then it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, you are everyone. It's just me and you here in this whole universe. You
Don't. That's gonna fuck me up.
It's insane, but it's a lovely thought, and it's like
I hate that.
and you're like, wait, so
I
I'm
hate
everyone,
that.
and it's like, yeah, it's like I'm my mother, and it's like, yeah, and it's like
But then
I'm
you're also
Hitler.
there.
And you're like,
Exactly.
yeah, and it's like, but and I'm Jesus, and you're like, and God's like, yes, right? You're like, I'm Gandhi and Martin Luther King. It's like, yes, it's like, and I'm Stalin, and it's like, yeah, like you've lived a lot of lives, and the purpose of putting you through this is because you're my kid. And
I don't under.
and it's like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, we like are powerful people. I could show you my universe, but you wouldn't understand it. You know, that's kind of why you're going through this. And until you live every life, every human life in this universe I've created,
Mhm.
until you mature. And you're going to mature by having all of the experiences. I could let you experience all of your consciousness. It's kind of like you right now have dipped your finger into this pool and to test the temperature and to pull out and to look at the pool itself, right? And
Mhm.
to gauge its temperature would be too much for your brain to handle, or at least it would take too long. You know,
Mhm.
doing that between every life is pointless. So, you know, you're just going to go back until, you know, you're ready
Ready for what?
until you mature and you become like a child, like a but it's essentially like a toddler for like this god, right? And then you can join them in like their universe of like them. So it's not like God is God, right? But it's
Wait,
like
where is this from? I completely
it's
forgot.
a short story that they turned into a video. But basically the idea is that you are everyone.
That's insane.
Yeah, but basically the moral of this short story is not
Mhm.
trying to start a religion. It's just
Right.
it brings a whole other meaning to treat others as you would treat yourself, right? Do unto
God
others as
damn.
you would have others do unto you.
Yeah.
And it's like because if the, you know, like hey man, if this is
You
real,
never
like
know. That might be you. Well,
yeah,
actually, it is you.
it is you.
Yeah.
Like
Fuck.
not only is like hey that could be you, it's like no, it is you. You know, like
Okay.
if something was you, wouldn't you be more understanding, right? So I think that's just a beautiful way of
That,
looking at it. Did you find the thing
that's
you
a
were looking
mind
for?
fuck. No, I
Yeah.
didn't. But I'll have to call my sister and my dad because I'm pretty sure I was like, "Oh my god, you're not gonna believe what happened to me." Da 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 da.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had some pretty crazy shit, like dreams and stuff,
Yeah.
that I would love to just like talk about. But that's like too much for right now, and we're literally at like 2 hours and a half now.
Yeah.
That's a fucking lot. We only have 3 hours. Keep in mind.
Can I open the door to the chi again?
Go
That's
for
just
it.
so weird.
I mean, yeah, you might as well.
All right.
You got like how? What time did you check this thing out?
Hmm?
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 What? What did you say?
Chi?
No. Check out
You
time?
didn't check it out?
Did you?
No. Why would I check it out and then put
why
it back
would
in
you
the
tell
studio?
me that you? Is
I
there a
said to
due date
grab
for
it,
this thing?
No.
That's insane.
I guess not.
Wow. We should do something about that eventually at
Mm.
some point.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
But
chi.
first, like this chi stuff.
Yeah, chi.
So
Lovely.
I'm with my friend and his brother and his mom talking to this like CIA agent dude, and he starts talking about chi fu, and he's like, it's like if like kung fu is like martial arts for your body, this is like martial arts for your mind, and it's like what?
Sick.
And he's like, yeah, like you know, it's just like it's energy.
Mhm.
I kind of like. It's like the same way in martial arts you can focus on being fast or being strong or being whatever, right?
Sure.
It's like I like to focus on like reading. And it's like, what do you mean? And he's like reading, you know, like kind of like people,
I love reading people.
right? And so he's like, yeah, look, I can and so and then my friend's brother, who's not only a stuntman, you gotta remember what that is.
No, I had to do mental gymnastics to figure out who you were talking about. Friend's brother.
My friend's brother.
Yeah.
My friend's brother,
Not
my
that far. Yeah,
friend's
yeah, yeah.
mom's
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, I would. I'm a little slow after 4 p.m. So.
So my friend's brother was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, like I've heard about this shit. This shit's crazy. Like yeah, like go ahead, like read me, right?" And so I was with my friend, and
Mhm.
his brother. Like they picked him up like from, like Mexico, right?
Mhm.
I was there for most of the time, like they were together, right?
Mhm.
And so they get back, and he just got back from doing like a gig, like down in Mexico, right?
Right.
And so he gets back, and so like he sits. My friend's brother sits in the chair, and then my friend's mom's friend, the CIA agent dude, he's like, okay, so like he puts a hand on the back of his neck and on his arm, right? And he's like, he takes a second, and he's like, well, you're sore in your left hip and your right shoulder and your tailbone, like you must have like fell on it. Your right ankle's a little sore, right? And
That's
like the
nuts.
entire time, the dude's like, okay, like what? Like, dude, I was with you. I didn't even tell you, and I was with you this whole time. Like, I don't. This is the second time I met this guy in my whole life. How would I tell him, right?
Right.
And so, like, the other dude's just like, what? Right? And so,
Question
and then,
mark.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went to a high school where instead of doing tests, we did POLs. and
What?
presentations of learning. And so we would talk about how he grew as a person and academically. And my friend, who was about to go up and like get read by this guy, he's always talked about how he felt like he's too much in his head. Like he always like he thinks
me
too much
all the time.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing he wants to do the most is to be in the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Me.
And me, I feel like I'm in the moment too much.
Same person, Alex. Let's go.
No, I was gonna say that I feel like I'm in the moment too much.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I'm taking my high five back.
Yeah. Although recently I felt like I've been in the future a little bit too much, so a little high five.
No.
No.
I'm still on my stealing back.
It's all about zooming out. I've explained this in the previous episode, which you can feel free to listen to. Zooming out. No, so and so my friend, he always tries to explain how he feels like he focuses too much, and my friend's like really passionate about this, right? Like passionate as in like emotional, but not like a girl. He's tough, you know.
Sure, of course. How dare you even make that suggestion?
And so my friend, and so he goes up there, and the CAA guy starts reading him, and he's like, and he starts reading him emotionally instead of physically, and he starts putting into words like this thing I've seen. He was like my best friend, right?
Yeah.
For like each POL he's done throughout high school, like he's always tried to like put into words this idea, but since he's like never in the moment so much, he can never really like grasp onto it and like look at it and like understand what what he's feeling.
Yeah.
And this other guy just sort of like relays everything I've seen in like all this guy's POLs, right, about like him as a person.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, and like my friend, you know, he got emotional.
Yeah. I would be too.
And it's like that's like the craziest shit ever. And he's like, yeah, like I'm sensing your chi and like the things runs through you. And I was like, do me next, right? And I mean, he said, like, obviously pointing out where you're sore in your body is like, what? And being like, this is how you feel emotionally, right? Like you feel like you're two, not like two people, but of two mindsets, right? Like you want to be a thing, but you are another thing. They're not evil and bad, but like, you know, like the thing, right? And it's like, whoa, right? And then he does me. The stuff he said with me kind of felt like, what's that term? People, it's like you can say it about like anyone. He's like, well, you're very scientifically minded.
General. He like generalized you?
There's a word that's like how horoscopes can seem oddly specific but yet can pertain to anybody. And it's like you get nervous in weird situations. And it's like, duh, like who doesn't get nervous in weird situations? That's not like an Aquarius thing. That's a literally everyone thing.
Right.
Right. Like some bullshit horoscopes do that. I'm not saying all the horoscopes do that.
Yeah, maybe it's because you were difficult to read.
Well, I am scientifically minded, right? He did say stuff that like he didn't go into like very much details, but he's also like he said compliments. He's like, you have like the mind of a 30-year-old dude, and I was like, thanks. You could just be saying that, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I want to believe him because of what he just did with my two other friends.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like he was saying things I do feel that are to myself true.
Right.
Although they didn't seem as specific. But I don't think my friend's fucking faking it, and I don't think the other dude's faking it.
I think it's more difficult because you're a very observational person yourself.
Yeah.
I would say unless you've actually spoken to a person like you, you can't really make observations based off. Like, I'm trying to explain this in a certain way. So, like me, for example, I love people watching. I love reading people's body language. I love doing that. Yes. It's fun.
The iPhone thing.
Yeah, but
I can tell.
I would say when
an iPhone mostly by the way they hold their cheeks.
Are you serious?
Like under their eyes, like how much they squint, but like only with the.
I don't know how you can make that judgment call. How?
Like I just.
Are my eyes doing it?
Huh?
Do my eyes do it?
Like for example, I think I can tell you have an iPhone. Like if I didn't know you, kind of by the shape of your glasses and the clothes you wear.
I don't know how you can assume that though. Like you would
sometimes
have to.
Facial structure takes into part of it too, which is bizarre.
You can do it on somebody else, and then I'll believe you.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
but not right now. Not right now.
Someone, we can go up to them and be like, "Hey, do you have an iPhone?" And they'll be like, "Yes" or "No," and
I'll
be like, "No."
But the thing about that is that like, that's like a numbers game.
It is a numbers game. It's to me like I have a spreadsheet in my mind of like characteristics, and then like how many times.
Okay, let's go back to the observation thing.
thing.
When I first met you, I don't think I would be able. I wasn't capable. Like
of like I
my
was a
my
new
perception of
character.
you was not spot on. That's what
Mhm.
I would say.
Okay.
I would say that like when it comes to certain people,
Mhm.
they're a little bit more easier to read because they're not as developed in their body language, I would say.
Calling me underdeveloped.
No. No, I'm saying you are developed.
Some people are easy to read because
People
they're
who
undeveloped in their body language?
yes. Because they're not conscious about what they're doing.
Oh. It's kind of like how people it's like when people are emotional, you can tell what their emotion is.
Right.
But somebody who can control their emotions very well would be hard to tell what their emotions is. And
Kind
you
of.
can make
But
that
here's
same
the thing
judgment
about
call
that.
off of
In that I've always been able to utilize, and I've never admitted this to anybody, so you should consider yourself special.
and you.
Okay. I have always been able to control the way that I act around people.
Mhm.
Not in the sense of like I can
Manipulating.
contain myself,
Okay.
but I can be very calculated sometimes.
Ooh, okay.
So if I want to project myself a certain way, I can do that.
Is it on purpose or is it more like you're fitting in with a situation?
It depends on the situation.
Okay.
If I'm trying to, it sounds really like manipulative and fucked up, but like if I'm trying to gain
Mhm.
something from certain situations, then yes, I can act a certain way, but it's never malintended.
Yeah, like for me, like when I do an interview, I act a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it like that or is it more than that?
I don't know. That
Yeah,
I can't
like
say.
when I'm at like when I hang out with certain friends, I put on a different kind of mask. you
That
know?
is true.
Yeah.
I can do that, but I also think that like
All of
there's a
this is on
certain
me.
benefit to being and acting a certain way. I can
course,
act
yeah.
dumb very easily, and people will
I'm
underestimate me.
agreeing with we're the same person thing because
Yeah.
I'm really relating to everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Right now. Or
And
maybe we're both just like horoscope fools,
yeah,
and everyone is like this.
yeah. I
Maybe.
don't know, but like
Comment on the YouTube channel if you agree.
I-
Like if
I
you
de-
agree.
I
Comment
certainly
if
like
you
that.
subscribe. Subscribe if you like.
yeah, I don't know. I maybe I think too much about things, but like I don't know. But yeah, I think when you control the way that you act, it makes it difficult for other people to
Yeah, because you don't know their true selves.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I would say if you ever
Mhm.
want to know what my tell is, I like for example right now
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything.
Sure.
No, like legitimately. Like
On purpose?
if I'm comfortable around
Like you're crossing your legs and you're pointing
no,
with
but
one
like
hand.
the thing is like everything
Uh-huh.
that I'm doing right now is not thought
Calculated.
about.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
yes.
completely reactionary to
Yeah.
how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So if I'm either comfortable or uncomfortable in a situation,
Mhm.
sometimes I can be very quiet, and that's not intentional. I just get that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's everyone. If you're
Right.
uncomfortable, you wouldn't speak up because that wouldn't make room for more.
I'm trying to think of an
uncomfortableness.
instance where I've ever. I can't really think of anything right now,
Yeah. I
but
was gonna.
I would say if I'm in a new surrounding, that's where I would be more
Yeah.
aware of what I'm doing.
Man, I had something else.
The
too.
other thing is,
Mhm.
oh fuck, I don't want to say this on the podcast because it has to do with our work. I'll tell you later.
Okay. I was gonna say. Well, I had more to that cheese story.
Yeah, go
Um,
for it. Oh, I forgot we opened that door.
Hey man, we opened it up. We pulled out most of the stuff. There's like only like one or two more boxes in that storage unit. So
Okay.
took you a second.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the same person? No.
Yeah.
So after like we meet that guy and we like end the conversation, we have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're in the car and like most of us are still like, what the shit? And like the dude, like my friend's brother,
Mm-hmm.
who was like, yeah, I've heard about this stuff before. He's like, yeah, I went to like this tournament thing one time because like he's also a big martial art guy, right? Because
Yeah.
he's a stuntman.
Right.
He's a stuntman. He's also like a fight stuntman. Like he's a stuntman for fight scenes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like he knows like martial arts, like
Oh
like
shit,
straight up.
that's cool.
And he was like, so I went to like this thing one time. It wasn't a competition, but it was kind of like a big seminar, right?
Mhm.
And like there's like this old dude, right? And he's like in the center, and he's like giving a TED talk about chi basically, and he's like, I just want to give an example of like what chi can do and what it can do for you, and so, or like like, here's an example of its power. And so he's like, I would like a young strapping boy to come. I don't think he was like super white, but
old timey kind of voice. I love that.
I want a young strapping boy to come up and
1920s type shit. Yeah.
So like, hold your hands out, hold your hands out straight, like the very first move to the Macarena, right? And he's like, make fists. He's like, okay, and so hold them there sturdy. Little old me. I'm gonna try to push down on it, right? And you're young and stronger than me, and I'm not gonna be able to push down. He's like, now I'm gonna do a different thing, and he puts his hands. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not a master of chi.
Oh, okay. Never
You think
mind.
I like learned
Sorry,
this?
you guys. I was holding my hands out,
holding...
hoping that Alex was gonna, I don't know, do whatever the fuck he was gonna do with the chi.
Yeah. So basically, one time a friend told me a story of this other dude, and I just like
learned it instantly. I know. That's insane.
No, I'm joking.
How do you do that?
Oh, thank you.
I'm being sarcastic.
It went over my head. Damn. So there what? So a thing.
A thing. Chi. The old man.
The young boy. I'm gonna try to push down on it. I'm young. I'm a young man, and I can't push down in your arms because you're too much younger than me. You're a strong, whipping boy.
I love the Citizen Kane voice.
I'm sorry for doing it that long. And so, like, my friend's brother didn't go up there, but like somebody he knew went up there. I think, right? And he was like, yeah, like the old man couldn't do it, and then he's like, okay, now I'm gonna hold onto your hands, and I'm gonna transfer some chi, like, away from you, right? And it's like, what? And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna try to push down on your arms again. And he pushes the kid's arms down.
Okay.
All the way down.
Yeah.
And the way my friend's brother explained it, it's like, it wasn't just like he was just stronger than you and you were resisting it. It's just like it was just like a nothing. Like, it felt like you weren't even trying, right? Like, you were just holding it out, only strong enough to hold it up. Then when he pushed it down, it just went down. Not like he
do it. Try and do it.
I can't.
Just try.
Oh my god, this is like
how do you even transfer chi?
Okay, so this is the limit. Okay, so I should be able to do that without any resistance on your part.
Right.
Some people just looked in through the window, and this looks super fucking weird. God, they were laughing at us.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm gonna use my chi. I'm going to use your chi and my chi.
Okay.
Nope.
Still some
Didn't
resistance.
get it. Yep.
Dang it.
Just no years of training at all. I'm nowhere near a master.
I figured,
If
beginner's
I
luck.
Hard. Is that how like just wizardry, like magic works?
Yeah.
It's like, how'd you do that spell? It's taken me 10 years. Beginner's luck, I just
Fuck,
do it
I
again.
just thought it up.
Yeah. God, that was embarrassing.
Thank God I wasn't looking in that direction.
But they saw,
I'm just glad I'm looking at the wall.
What, like, they don't know your face, or you just didn't have to see it?
I just didn't have to see it.
Yeah.
Damn.
But,
all right.
Yeah, that's the chi thing. Man, there's so much other things. When I listen back to this, I'm gonna be like, damn, I wanted to hear that.
My ear is itchy.
Itch it. Go ahead.
Okay.
But imagine if you didn't have an ear, is what I'm saying.
I could do that. I could do that.
You can imagine if you didn't have an ear?
Yeah.
Okay, imagine if you didn't have a finger.
Yeah.
Like your pinky. Okay.
I can do that.
Imagine if you didn't have all your fingers.
Hold on.
Imagine two fingers. Imagine if you didn't have two fingers. Just on your left hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just keep doing that until you reach your whole body. And then let it seep into your brain, and then you just die. You just killed yourself by thinking so hard.
That's so cool.
I think that's true with placebos and stuff. That if we can, so there's placebo.
You really think that you can kill yourself by
if you
not
think
thinking
hard enough? I don't know, man. one time I thought about it
I
so
think
hard.
that's maybe that's how you astral project.
I think
You get all the
This
way
is-
to nothingness, and then you're like,
this is gonna keep making me sound like, oh man, he was so rational, but he's fucking crazy.
no,
It's
don't.
like, When I say
We've already left the crazy town station.
yeah, that
We've
we're very-
arrived. We
we've
we are
arrived in
settled
Crazy
in.
Town.
We have like houses now, apartments,
This started
furniture,
with-
all of it.
it started with Planck length, and now it's just we're into fucking chi.
We are so far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
This
I'm
is
going. I'm
like
gonna
my
do it.
progression every single day. Every time I wake up in the
You
morning,
wake
I
up,
start
you're
off
logical,
rational.
You're a person.
Oh
At
yeah,
the end of the day, you're
a
like,
woman of Newton.
"Oh, no, shut up."
Yeah, by the end of the day, I'm just like, maybe I'm not real. Maybe none of this is real. You know what? Scientology kind of makes sense.
Me at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
No, I was gonna say, what was I gonna say?
Chi.
Chi.
No,
No.
it wasn't that.
Wasn't that?
I think. What were we talking
I have to
about?
get in a word of the premise before we split. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
forget.
fuck. Okay, we were talking about going irrationally.
Irrational.
You didn't want to sound bad.
Crazy?
Astral projection.
When okay. Those it's in between those two. Astral projection. Oh yes, got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sound absolutely stupid when I say I
Go for it.
believe that if we believe hard enough, anything is possible. But not-
Absolutely.
but I don't mean physical challenges. Like I don't believe
Like the physicality of like having to do something.
like as a species, I believe if we try hard enough, we can go to Mars. Like in fact, NASA plans to do that by 2024. We're
Right.
establishing a main boost in 2022.
That's so
main
cool.
moon base.
2024. Holy shit.
Yeah. We're gonna have a moon. Or I think we're having a moon base by 2024, and then we're gonna go to Mars. Yeah, it's called the Artemis missions, like Apollo
Thanks for
and
filling
Gemini.
me in.
Yeah, you can look it up on
Alright.
YouTube. An astronaut does the floss in their new spacesuit.
Oh,
Very
how
cringy.
trendy. Woo.
Well, like they were just like doing some stuff, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what if I ha ha ha?" And like it cuts away
I don't even know
immediately.
how to do the floss. So.
Stop. We're gonna okay.
No, let's talk about dancing.
Use your chi to floss. No. But I think so. You know what a placebo is, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're, you can take sugar pills. Your ears are itchy. Those
Yeah.
we don't wash those headphones.
Why would you say that to me now, Alex? Why didn't you tell me in the
I
beginning?
thought you knew that.
I mean, yeah, but I didn't think about it. Oh my god. You're not a good friend.
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
is
Now
it-
I'm gonna have an ear infection, and then I'm actually gonna go deaf.
What's it like to not hear? No.
No, seriously, I'm such a neurotic person.
Okay.
Let's
back
not.
to this
Yeah, go.
thing.
Go to your thing.
So we can believe ourselves into health, right? We can cure ourselves of
Sure.
diseases that turns out were mental the whole time, right? Or sometimes of physical things that if we believe we're healing,
Mm-hmm.
we actually heal, right?
Right.
Like the power of prayer is true beyond than superstition. Like you can do studies on like if you believe people are believing in you to get better, you will do better than if you didn't think anyone was believing in you.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually.
hold
Quick.
on.
Oh fuck. Okay, keep going.
Yes, I kind of do want to keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go for it. Believing in yourself.
Believing in yourself, right? We can not only can we believe ourselves into health, we can actually believe ourselves into sickness, right?
Fuck. What? Damn it.
Right? If you believe hard enough, right? Like if you
Shit.
believe you're getting sicker, you're gonna
Oh,
get
fuck.
sicker, and then you go to a doctor and they're like, "Dude, you're fucking fine," and you're like, "Oh."
But see, here's the thing.
Oh.
I never trust anything 100%. That's my other problem.
And so then you just believe yourself, and you believe you're getting worse. And
Yeah,
then now you're
I'm
fucked.
always like I have cancer, and then I'm like I'm probably gonna have cancer. Fuck me. I just
thinking that we don't know what causes cancer. Maybe it's just people believing they're gonna get
well,
cancer.
don't say that.
So then here's the thing: just believe you won't get cancer, and then
But
you
that's
won't
the
get cancer.
problem. Like because then I'm like I have
Just
something.
as easily as you believe, this also comes back to my black box. Just as easily as you believe for whatever reason that you're probably gonna get cancer, believe
Uh-huh.
for the black box reason that you're not going to get cancer.
See, but everything feels wrong.
What?
Like,
Are you sick? You need to go to the hospital?
That's the thing. Like, I don't think I've ever felt like 100% well. That's why I'm always like, are you sure I'm fine? Because I don't feel fine.
Maybe, you can... Here's one thing. Accept that, you know, you've peaked.
What the fuck? I peaked?
No, you've peaked.
Yeah, no, I thought that's only for, like, high school athletes.
No,
Definitely
I'm
not
joking.
my category.
Like, right now, like, the back of my neck feels a little weird. Like, I maybe have a twinge in my shoulder, but other than that, emotionally, I feel great, and, I feel great right now. Even though I have a little twinge in my shoulder. Like, I'm just sore.
You know how I just said, are you sure?
Yeah.
That's like my inner voice to me all the time.
You got a negative inner voice. I kicked out my negative inner voice.
You
want to
know why?
I put them in I shoved them off an imaginary roof.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I have a lot of repressed memories.
Dude, my repressed memories.
The inner voice is what repressed my memories.
Yeah, they helped you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like the do you know the show Big Mouth on Netflix?
I've been meaning to watch it.
It's a great show. You should watch it.
Okay.
There's a character called the Depression Kitty.
Oh.
Right? So like they have hormone monsters and like
yeah.
there's like a menstruation monster.
Right.
No,
right.
I mean a menopause monster.
There's different monsters
the shame wizard, right?
Great.
Like it just like personifies these ideas and one of them was nope, forgot. What was it? What were we talking about before?
Just bring it back.
What was it talking about?
Kitty.
The Depression Kitty.
Yeah.
How it's like, oh, you don't want to go to school to take the test. Just lay in bed and watch. What did Ben Affleck say about Donald Trump Jr.?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so like it helps you not think about the things that truly will upset you. Right. Like it kind of puts it into a vault where like until you're ready to to handle it, to face it head on. Right. And we need to do that eventually. Yeah. Right? We need to put the story of Pinocchio is a brilliant story. Even though it's fucking batshit crazy. Right. A puppet maker wishes on a star and a puppet comes to life, but he needs to do a thing to become a real boy, and he goes into the belly of a whale, but like before that he goes on a donkey island where like these people kidnap kids and turns them into donkeys.
Okay,
like this sounds like a fucking fever dream.
Side note.
Yeah.
I don't remember Pinocchio that well, so the fact that you just gave me a synopsis about Pinocchio without having known what Pinocchio is, that is batshit crazy.
It's fucking crazy, but adults and kids alike can watch it and they understand something deeper.
Interesting.
And because it's there's also like a thing like I'm just copying Jordan Peterson, but he's like
I know who he is.
You know who he is?
Yeah.
Do you not like him?
He's all right.
He has a lot of controversy around him, but I feel like some of his ideas or personifications of ideas are brilliant.
Sure.
So it's a thing like, why do dragons hoard gold? Right? It's like, why? Like, what's up with this story of like there's treasure beyond a great crisis, right? I can address the crisis, or I cannot. I can run away from it, but the dragon is terrorizing my town, right? I can be a brave knight who goes up there, goes to fucking hell, right? Fights a dragon, and then I get treasure, or like sometimes it's like a virgin girl, because like that's a thing to be, whatever. It's the virgin girl. The idea of a virgin is deeper beyond than like this fresh fucking. It's beyond that. It goes beyond that. But
sure.
Yeah, besides the point, the things we need the most are to be found in the places we know we don't want to look. Yeah. So, like repressed memories, you could probably become like a healthier whole person if you address those memories.
Yeah.
Right? If you really think about them, focus on them, why do you feel this way? Why do you blah, blah, blah? It's hard to do, and I'm not telling you to do it.
No, I think it's kind of like I have a back and forth relationship with that because, like, my sister, she would
Mhm.
always, like, when I first started having, like, these flashbacks and stuff, my sister would say, like, sometimes repressed memories repressed for a reason. And I was like, some therapists say you should look into it, some say you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And, sounds like somebody's knocking. It's freaking me the fuck
Yeah.
out. And so at first, it's like, it's difficult, yes.
Mhm.
It can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
but I think when I did tell my mom about everything that had happened, it definitely.
Like a memory came back and you told her, or what?
No, no,
What,
no,
what
no.
happened?
Like, I just kind of. Okay, I'll specify. Are we able to take this out?
No.
No?
I'm not gonna edit this.
Got it. Okay. So in that case,
I have an analogy too.
Sure, it's fine.
Mhm.
I had experienced a certain form of abuse for an extended period of time.
Gotcha.
And so I ended up telling my mom about it. And afterwards, and like, it's been like maybe 2 weeks now? A week? Yeah, a week. About a week.
Mhm.
And I haven't really been thinking about it at all, which is
Yeah.
strange because before, like, it was like almost intrusive to the point where like I like could not handle it
Yeah.
in certain moments. But now I feel a lot better, but now I also worry, like, how my mom feels about it, how, like, my family members feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like, it's like, great, I feel fine now, but, like, this is just gonna hit me like a brick sooner or later
Well,
again.
maybe
Right.
it will.
I don't know if it's like you need to acknowledge an ounce of it, or like you need to acknowledge the whole part in order to, like, benefit from it.
I mean, depending on how big it is and how hard it is, maybe you go step by step, or maybe you rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Ripping off like a Band-Aid, like, I mean, there's
it's gotta be hard.
There's some moments,
Like
like
going for a neck
when I
repair.
was saying with my mom,
Yeah.
it was like a Band-Aid. I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to have to tell her because, like, I cannot anymore. And I told her, and it was fine afterwards. And I think telling my mom was one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear because, quite honestly, afterwards, my biggest fear and concern of telling my parents in general was that they weren't going to love me afterwards, which sounds dumb, but, like, because they're your parents, of course they're gonna love you. But, like, when I was younger, I would always tell myself they're not gonna believe you when you tell them. They're not gonna love you when you tell them. That's what I was saying with, like, the
Yeah.
negative voice. And so that's why I was like, all right, fuck it, this is going in a box, and I'm never dealing with it again.
Yeah.
But having told her, I do feel a lot better now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's addressing these demons.
Yeah.
I think here's an example of something that, like, sometimes, like, things can just stay in a box. I went to the doctor because I felt like something was wrong with my ear.
Right.
Right. The doctor looks at my left ear, which is like the good one, right? And they're like,
Right.
"Yep, it's fine." Also, want to brag, there was no earwax in the fucking in my
Yes,
ear.
Alex, I know you don't sweat. You don't get earwax. You're just the
And the doctor
perfect
looks at my other ear. I think I told you this, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you have.
Um.
Sandbagging right now, but
Thank you.
continue.
Thank you. You got it. Nice.
Yeah.
Doctor looks at my other ear, and they're like, "No earwax, nice." And I'm like, "Of course." And
Humble brag.
not just straight brag.
Okay.
Y'all can suck it. No,
Yeah.
I'm playing.
But also
And they're like,
suck it.
and they're like, you have scar tissue
Right.
in your right ear. Like, did you have a previous ear infection, or like something get like jammed in there at one point in your life? And I was like, I mean, I don't know. Like, sometimes I like
How exactly
Like,
is
I don't know.
scar tissue?
form in your ear.
Yeah.
I mean, well, one is if you had a previous ear infection, and I was gonna ask my mom, right? I was gonna send her a text of like, "Hey, mom, did I get an ear infection as a kid? Like, the doctor says I have scar tissue in my right ear."
Mhm.
And then I was like,
Maybe I
Hmm.
don't.
like, what if I don't like the answer to this question?
Right.
Like, what if it's like, man, like, what if like it's a paragraph, right? Like,
Mhm.
if she sends back a huge paragraph, and it's just like, "Son, I didn't want to tell you, but here, and
Maybe
it's
you
like,
did have an ear infection though.
maybe it was just an ear infection as a kid,
And
but
you're
what if it's so
overthinking.
much worse.
Yeah,
I just don't like,
I think that's also my problem
the
too.
dragon of this scar
Dragon.
tissue in my ear,
Oh,
the
dragon,
metaphorical dragon, right, of the scar tissue in my ear, is not affecting me as a person. I am only purely curious right now.
That's my problem. Whenever I get curious about something, I need to know. I have to.
know.
It's like like I can't just ignore something. Like I have to like figure it out. That's why when it comes to my mental health, my sister's like, just don't worry about it. I'm like, I can't.
No,
It's the
yeah.
only thing that's gonna be on my mind for the next 6 months. I can't just ignore it.
This is crazy. I might be where I'm at mentally because of science. And let me explain it. It is
Okay.
impossible for the human brain to imagine 1/billionth of a billionth, right? Which
Okay.
is how small an atom is if you take the pinpoint of a needle, right?
Mhm.
So if I can accept that there are things that I don't understand, but by golly, I'm gonna fucking learn everything else, right? Like I know how electromagnetism works to
Mhm.
an insane level. I know how our neurons send thought, right? Like
That's
like
great,
an
'cause I
axon
don't.
and like fucking particles, and I just said a word to sound cool. Right? Like I forget all the words, but like I know how it works.
It's fine. This is
right?
just flying over my head, so
Neuroplasticity and
keep
other
going.
big words.
Keep going. I am under
right.
a bridge currently.
There are things I love to understand,
Right.
but there are things it's like I don't know how small a neuron is. Like I don't know, like how like no one knows how consciousness works
See,
in the brain.
exactly how you were saying earlier, you're like, I don't know how small it is. I can't tell you. And I'm like, but wait, can you tell me like how I kept on like
Yeah.
That's how I am
Steps
with
of
everything else.
rationality, yeah.
I need to have like
It's like
something concrete in my mind.
like I can't tell you for certain. Like a cell is super small. You need a microscope to look at it, right?
Right.
I think a cell is closer in size to a human than it is to an atom. That's how small atoms are.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, that
because
helps.
then can you scale it to the planetary system?
If
In
you were
relative closeness to the sun. If the sun is a human, the cell would be placed where?
well, you would have to understand how huge the sun is, though, right?
Yeah, but like that, I can imagine.
Here's what
It
I'm telling
sounds
you.
dumb, but I
check-
can imagine because there's images of a planetary system. It might not be accurate, but I can at least put it in my mind like, oh, that's this far and that's this
It'll
far.
probably help. That's true, but every picture of the solar system you've ever seen is wrong.
Is not. Yes, I
It's
know
not
that.
to scale.
Of course, it's not to scale. But at least it could help me
Yeah, maybe.
picture it.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Okay.
If you can get on that, that'd be great.
Here's one thing.
Uh-huh.
If you were to make the center of an atom the size of a golf ball, the electron would be like 5-10 miles away. That's how much empty space there is inside of an atom.
Golf ball?
Yeah.
5-10 miles away.
Yeah.
Oh, see that?
That's
Like
how-
I need like distance.
Yeah.
That's
how much space there is in between the nucleus of an atom and its electron.
See, how do we know that?
Science is buckshit crazy. You
See,
can look into
do you
it.
see what I mean? I just
Yeah.
keep fucking asking questions.
No,
and
this
then-
is great. I was like this as a kid, but then I figured it all out.
Well, okay, fuck you.
I'm playing. I don't know everything.
Are
But
you
I know
sure?
a lot. I know a lot.
Well,
I'm
that's
joking.
great.
I'm joking. But
We've literally been at this for 3 fucking hours.
This is good. I feel like if a podcast is 4 hours, it's like I'm not even gonna click on it. But 3 hours is like I have time.
I have to go meet Miley at some point.
Yeah. At some point, what is you late? Yeah. Also, this library closes in 30 minutes. So
Fuck! SES.
it closes at 5:30.
Yeah.
We have the keys to the office.
I know, but I'm just freaking out because. Okay, wait. Never mind. I'm fine.
We could stay in here until tomorrow.
We did have it checked out, so we're fine.
It's super late. If we checked it out at like 2.
Well, we did check it out, so
3,
we're
4.
fine. We'll get fine, but this is completely going over your head, isn't it?
Okay, no. Also, I don't want to say the fact that we can blank on a podcast because it makes us seem like dicks.
What's a blank?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm blanking it out.
Blanking what out?
If we blank
Uh-huh.
at blank, then we can just blank, and it's like blank, but other people can't blank because they don't have blank.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I don't want to.
I actually completely got what you were saying.
That's great. I made a
Brilliant.
lot of facial.
See,
and hand
we
gestures.
are
Is
the
this
same
same?
person.
Can we hand clap so loud they can hear it? I'm sorry. I felt that too a little bit.
I literally put no force into that. That was all you.
You resisted it. I stole your chi. I did it.
Do the hands.
No. Oh.
Anyway.
I think
I think
that's
we
it.
got it.
I think that's it. Thank you everybody for listening this long.
Yeah, if you actually made it
Absolutely
this far,
insane.
congrats.
Congrats.
We're gonna hand out prizes because it's probably only 2 people that might listen to
Can
this.
you put what should they put in the comments if they listened all the way?
If they listened all the way,
Put in the to let us
tell
know.
us what we were talking about at the halfway mark.
Wouldn't somebody just only have to listen to the halfway? Oh no, because they wouldn't
would
know
have
to
to
say
finish,
that.
and then they would have to go back.
Why would we make them go back though?
Because then they would have to prove that they listened to it all the way.
Oh, because some people can just skip to the end.
Right. So go to the part wherever we talked about chi.
That was closer to the end, I think. What was in the middle?
God.
God, death. I feel like death.
Death.
Ghosts.
When we were talking about our grandmas, we were the same person.
Oh.
Put the minute mark.
Okay. No, not the minute mark. Because somebody can just, somebody copy paste that. Well, I guess.
But
somebody
it's a 3-hour long. You're gonna have to search through 3 hours of content.
Who's on which side of your family do you call what grandma, what name, or what
Perfect.
title?
Perfect. Nobody's gonna actually do this, but I will personally send you a thank you note if you do.
I'm gonna put I have an email for this account.
Yes.
I'm gonna put it in the description. You go ahead. If you
send
made it this far,
send
us an email.
Yep.
I'll
Tell
let
us
this person, my friend here, know.
And I will personally send you a thank you note.
They'll send you a thank you.
Signature and all.
Yeah.
Perhaps a quarter in there. Just
if you're gonna send them a physical piece of mail, they're gonna have
to
send me a random person on the internet their address.
Absolutely.
So,
I
yes,
promise
we
won't show up at your house.
There's
we won't
gonna be
talk to you.
absolutely no anthrax.
Right.
Don't even worry about that.
I don't even know how to make anthrax. So
it's simple. You just need
Okay, well, Alex might send it, but I won't. I promise I won't.
It'd be fun to just see,
No,
if they could catch me.
Fuck, I was about to say you can make math from. Okay, we really have to.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Adios.
Au revoir.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.